Wait, because you don't have it plugged in.
No, it don't plug it in.
Oh, plug it in.
It breaks it for some reason. Sorry. It's getting audio from your freaking computer. Their sound is just stupid quiet. Okay.
I'm gonna have to. I will, but Barbara's gonna be really upset with me.
It makes sense. And we'll bring this one to your as soon as the time gets here.
Okay.
Sure. Like, I can still get it to you, but I want to be here.
I mean, like, what do we do now? We don't have something to.
Just leave it.
I'll leave this. Okay.
Lucas Baylock, Engineering Center. Can I ask a question in the room? Can you put your hand up if you currently have access to this agenda on your laptop? Perfect. Thank you. Connor, did you have somewhere? Would you like me to bring that up?
Is there any further debate on the motion? Seeing none, is there a closing from either of our members? Motion one, whereas an agenda was made and whereas we need to approve it, be it resolved by council to approve the agenda of the council meeting of March 6th as circulated on the council newsletter. Moved by Chloe McCloskey, seconded by Madeline Provo. Can I see votes for the motion, please? Raise your placard if you'd like this motion. Thank you very much. Can I see votes against the motion? Anyone doesn't like their agenda? Michael, is that a vote? Are there any abstentions on this? Would you like that noted in the minutes? No. Thank you very much. Motion one passes. Hooray. All right, motion two. Whereas it's been some amount of time since the last council, and whereas and the minutes have actually been written, be it resolved that council approves the meeting minutes for the council on the dates that they have been written. Moved by Chloe, wow minutes, seconded by Madeline. I'm going to see those Provo. Is there an opening to either of our members? Yes, go ahead.
For last council and two others, three others, two others, one other. Okay. But definitely last council and this their minimum is usually for the last council and the other one that she wrote. Thursday.
Thank you for that. Okay, is there any debate on the motion? Seeing none, is there a closing from either of our members? All right, motion two. Whereas it's been some amount of time since the last council, and whereas and the minutes have actually been written, be it resolved that council approves the meeting minutes for the council on February Any abstentions? Nobody moved, nobody say anything, the motion to pass it. We're not moving into break yet. I know we usually move into break now, however, it is now time for me to explain what's going on. It's now time for speaker's business, which is in fact my business. Hi everyone, welcome to Delta. This is the time where you listen to me and I tell you what's going on. Great, we're gonna start as we always start with acknowledging that things situated on traditional Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe territory. I like to bring this up at every council. You probably hear it a lot of times during your career in undergrad and beyond. I think it's important to recognize every single time, so welcome, I think. As an uninvited guest on this land, I would like to take time to acknowledge how grateful I am to live and learn and play here. To acknowledge this traditional territory is to recognize its longer history and to acknowledge its territory's significance, the indigenous peoples who have lived here since time immemorial, and whose spiritual practices are tied to this land. So it's AGM, very exciting. This is a council meeting, but there are some things that are different today from regular council. One, every single person in this room gets a vote. Congratulations, you don't have to be elected to any positions, you get a vote at AGM, everyone is. And second is that bylaw can be changed in one reading at this council, including ratifying fund continues, etc. I'm going to go over the typical council super quick for anyone who's new to this. I'm the speaker. Hi, I don't know if I introduce myself. I'm Maddie. I should part of my role, in fact, my whole role is making sure that council is in order. So a couple of things this means is number one, if I find you're using inappropriate language, I will ask you to stop. If you say something disrespectful, if you are breaking the student code of conduct, if there's any harassment, discrimination, I may ask you to leave council chambers. When I call the order, please stop talking. A couple of other things, we have quite a few motions to go through, so this council may run a little long. For that reason, I'm going to be a bit stricter about circular debate than usual. So please try not to repeat points you've already said in debate motion. On a more personal note, I am very sensitive to background noise, background chatter, and a couple of other people I know in this room are as well. So please hold back talking to other people in this room. If you need to, send them in text or something, but chatter is really distracting. People. In terms of placards, you should all have a placard. If you want to speak on a motion, feel free to raise your placard and I'll add it to my list of people. I'll then call you in that order. If you have a point, all of this should be explained in the back. If you have a point of order, if you'd like to correct me, if you have a point of information you'd like to provide something quick on the matter in hand, or if you have a point of personal privilege, feel free to raise your hand and I'll call on you immediately. What else? When you speak, the first time that you speak at the start of your speech, you start with your name and your position. So, for example, I would say, Alan Provost, Speaker of Council, blah, 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 blah. If you don't do that, someone may call a point of personal beverage on you, and then traditionally you're limited. Cool. What else? You already know you can vote for, against, or you can abstain from motions. If you vote against or you abstain from a motion, I'll ask you if you'd like to have that noted in the minutes of this council, which are being taken. Yeah. Okay, cute. If you have any more questions, you can talk to me during music break. Speaking of.
X, Y, Z.
Presentation say I ask for questions. Keep in mind that we do have motions coming up about both the presentations we're going to see later. So keep your presentations, your questions to the presentations and not about the motions that are following. Okay.
Hey guys, my name is Anand. My name is Jacob. We are the co-captains of Queens, which we hope to be a Queens Clean Tech Design Club. The reason why we wanted to start with Queens was that when I was a sophomore both for us, I joined engineering because we wanted to make it attentive to climate change. But if you look at the design space, there's no ability for anyone to get involved building sustainable solutions at Queens. And so we looked up and we realized there was a void to fill. And so we created Queen's mission statement is to upskill young engineers in the fields of sustainable technology via experiential learning. And you may have heard this one before. You may have heard this one at Queen's within NSHOC in the form of hydrogen fuel cells or super mileage or biofuels. Teams have come and gone because they try to dive into niches and they die out because students move on, technologies burn out, relevance decreases. So we are different because we are building a sort of umbrella club. Think of Qline, their umbrella is AI, and then they have a little note of learning, academic processing, computer vision. For us, our umbrella is climate change, or climate tech, and then we have nodes in hydrogen, fuel cells, carbon capture, etc. The idea behind the nodes is to keep our work within the project, within the club, relevant to what students actually want to work on, but also relevant to the current space. Nodes are just slices of this Clean Tech pie, where we're going to tackle one of the specific sectors of Clean Tech, earlier, with the specific project. So when we first debuted this idea, we just put up a couple posters in Beamish. We set up a pop-up booth in the atrium, and we got a couple of signups. We got like 20+ signups the first day, which was really exciting. We also got a lot of interest specifically from the Cambridge Chem community, as we're one of the only club we're able to do process engineering type work at the time. Start to do chemistry work there. And then just to look at our metrics and our population distributions, you'll see that we were really safe. We got a lot of breakthroughs, a lot of years that's the way that we marketed because we were. It's really important to me that we're a young team because of longevity and continuity. It's actually, we were all able to talk about the past on the past that we have, and our public grades out. Important to note the lack of reports in your teams is because the way we marketed. Our entire exec team is second year, and so through that we had our connections. And then in terms of why we got so many first years, on our pop-up, first years are they're looking to get involved. They don't really know what's going on, and they thought it, they were really excited by it. And what's more than that, it was difficult for us to reach out to those third and fourth years. And so with NSHOC ratification, we can use those typical screens, those things, advertising, discipline, skip seeds, email, other things like that. We would just have access to these things. Exactly. And then in terms of our gender split, we're 33-67 on the team, which is completely average in terms of the population, especially the engineering population. But we really want to improve that number, and we believe that targeted equitable marketing to underrepresented groups is critically important for a team of success, creativity, and diversity, obviously. So with ratification, we plan on targeted marketing toward Y, NESB, and 4 directions, so that we have disproportionate marketing towards underrepresented groups within SPEC. Look at our actual structure for how our team is formatted this year and next. So this is next year's structure. You can expand. This year's structure was just one of those notes. We just only have one note. Exactly. We have one note this year. Co-captains starting at the top, pretty similar, nothing too crazy. We're managing the macro vision. You've seen this before. We're client-facing. We're managing the macro finances, and then this year we are really centered around the project because we're small and because we don't have a breadth of members. We're more hands-on. As we continue to expand, we're assuming that the co-captains will take more hands-off role and let the executives of the nodes deal with those nodes themselves while we deal with bigger problems. In terms of the EII marketing coordinator, they manage the grievances and issues that arise internally between members in the club, as well as breaches of charter and other things like that. So as much as possible, they will try to deal with things internally. If things need to be scaled, they'll escalate to the ERB. But obviously the priority is if we can keep things internally, that would be better. And they will act as a neutral middle part. Marketing, again, stuff you've seen. Manage social media, put cold responses, cold call-outs to sponsors and clients. And importantly, once they do that, the co-captains will then take lead and deal with the conflict.
With regard to the nodes themselves, as I said earlier, a node to the slice of that Clean Tech Pie, and builds a project annually. In order to continue having a node, we need to have a complete project. The node is going to be structured as many teams kind of are. You would have sub-teams from mechanical, electrical, and space chemical is that's a big focus of our club to work on the project. So it's not just work on stuff willy-nilly. Yeah, it's pretty much like a Clean Tech structure. Now, the idea of these nodes, again, is so that we focus on the technology that is relevant to the student body, so we don't have teams like de-ratify and stuff like again, those are high results. It just stay relevant to what's cutting edge. Our first node is the carbon capture node. We're focusing on converting CO2 into ethanol, eventually to repurpose sustainable aviation. And it's really, really exciting because we're doing electrochemistry, which is really increasingly more important within the scene of clean tech and climate tech, and carbon capture. So as students are more interested in electrochemistry, we're starting to see a divide, or not really a divide, but a gap between what employers such as DeepSky and certifying for at the carbon capture company, or these massive carbon capture companies. And they're really learning in the classroom, so we hope to bridge that gap, yes, with these projects. So our chemical sub-team has finished a process flow diagram where they mapped out the material and 40 inputs and outputs of our electrolyzer. So you can see here, kind of we mapped out all the electrochemical reactions, so the mechanical sub-team can start actually building out what we've envisioned for the process.
Yeah, and if you can see, quick diagram. May not be pretty, but it's important. The big part of the project is returning CO2 into ethanol. So we're taking atmospheric gas, putting it through this fancy metal box, and then out comes ethanol and a couple other end products. In the mech team, we had a really difficult time at the start of the year because the chemical team had to figure out what processes they were doing before we could actually build a thing that did that. And so, in the nature of the club, which is learning, we focus on that. A lot of the mech team is first years, and so we spend the time upskilling them as much as possible. We focused on Arduino, we focused on circuits, on shape. We taught them the skills so that when it was time, right now, for them to build, they could get here on their feet and work. And so, we did just that. And an important anecdote that I really love to see, and what gave me faith that this club had success, is in our electrical group, the guys that came in there had no experience of Arduino, of circuits, and they came in and under me and my executives' guidance, they started to learn. And because of the nature of the club, the environment we created, and the support that we gave them, they took it upon themselves to learn outside the classroom as well. And it comes to the point now where they're right in the mix with us, they're helping build all our circuits, they're helping write all the code under our supervision, and it just is a testament to students come into our club, they see what support we're giving them, the environment of learning that we're creating, and they take the time and they take it upon themselves to get better. And that's something that we saw that I thought it was really important. So in terms of some of the work we've been doing, obviously we caddy electrolyzer plates, which is in where the reaction actually happens. And then to keep budgets down, we're actually building our own pumps. And so just extra experience for our students. Now an important question you may ask is, how are we paying for all this?
Which is what I'm hoping to answer. So the electrolyzer project, it seems like really crazy and fancy, but it's actually a well-defined, well-scoped project, which is actually relatively quite small. People have done CO2 to ethanol for like 50 years. So the way that we do it is quite simple. So that's why we're able to bring our budget down really low to around $150. The way that we're going to be paying for this is by partnering with other design teams for materials, and also borrowing for some chemicals that are necessary, like CO2, like potassium peroxide reaction, from the Baker lab. Rachel Baker is our faculty advisor, which is why we borrow those materials from her. Anything that we're not able to cover by yoinking from people, we're going to have a bake sale really well, and cover the rest of our costs for like any other chemical things like catalyst, black hole membrane, any other random chemicals we might need.
And then next year, an important note, that $800 budget, just ignore it. I was doing some research on other design teams, and I took the wrong message away. The odds of us doing merch next year is low. And
Massive typo.
anyways, just ignore it. So, moving on. With an estimated 2 nodes next year is our goal. Each node will have a budget between $1,000 and $1,300 is our constraint that we're applying on the project. That money comes from materials that we can't source from factory facilities in Queens, like Stark or Baker's Lab. More than that, it comes from the technologies that we're buying, sensors, motors, fancy stuff, like unlike the peristaltic pump that we can't build ourselves. And then finally, that also looks like subscriptions. It looks like memberships to Spark, where we have to pay that $100, $150 a year. And then where we're getting that money is we will apply for the Dean's donation, and we're looking for $2,000 to $3,000 with ratification. We're also looking for external sponsors. They really need the NSTOP name behind us if they want to give us that good faith. And so it's really important that with ratification we move on. We're currently talking to a couple of people, and again, this is a big step in that process. And finally, we're looking for partnerships with Smith, DDQIC, and Reaction Hub. We're ending the year in the Baker's Lab under the supervision of Dr. Rachel Baker and her grad team. We're going to be spending a lot of time, especially with her grad team, in the next couple of weeks to finish our prototype.
Now, with regards to our electrolyzer, we are past the design and prototyping phase, now we're in the assembly phase, which is slapping things together. Once we're done assembly, we're going to be focusing on optimizing your process simulation, so math and ICs, things like that. Basically, we're just going to be, after we finish it, we're going to look at it and be like, hey, how can we make this thing better, so that next year when we do improve upon it, we know how to do this better using simulations. In terms of external partnerships, specifically sponsorships, we're going to be collaborating hopefully with other companies for materials, proprietary software like Aspen or other simulation softwares that make our lives so much easier. Also, as Jacob mentioned earlier, that we're going to be expanding our budget to build cooler and better nodes and more nodes. We're going to do some actual financing from these sponsor companies. In terms of space, we are looking at a partnership with Reaction Hub, where they have a insured wet lab space outside of campus, which is really cool. So we're hoping to do some more chemistry intensive projects in their space, which should be really exciting. And we currently have a partnership with Spark to store our electrolyzer project right now.
And next year, a big thing we want to move as a value prop for the club is client-based projects. Now this looks like where we loan our students out to companies where they get free labor and we get professional experience. And so it's really important, especially with these small climate tech companies that may not have the amount of engineers that they need because of how low budget they are. We can provide that service while gaining incredible experience in relevant fields as well. It all comes back to learning at the end of the day. And then what that can take the form of is research projects, consulting projects, or where they send us their tech and we're testing it for them and giving them data. Next year is expansion. And so we're looking to expand and add a node, as you saw on that first slide, or the first structure slide. The 2 nodes that we want to move into next year with is an energy node and a carbon dioxide removal node. And so those projects can take the form of hydrogen fuel cells or storage or hydropower as an example. These are just examples of the projects that us and the executives over the summer are going to create proposals for. So in the fall, our new members can vote and pick the projects that they're interested in to ensure that we have projects that students are passionate about and are excited for.
To accommodate all these new nodes that we'll be building, we're going to be hiring new sub-team leads and also hiring new people to develop all these new nodes. Also, we're going to be thinking about continuity and building the infrastructure necessary so that when Jason and I age out, what does the next captain look like? How can they inherit the networks that we're building at Queen so that the sponsorships that we're having, like how can we maintain these relationships. So we're going to be thinking about that over the summer. And of course, we're going to be doing a lot of outreach to get those sponsorships, to get those materials, and get those things running so that we are able to build these really cool projects and build learning opportunities. So thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you guys listening to us for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. This has been a passion project for us all year, and we're really excited just to be here. So thank you very much for your time. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks so much, guys. We're now going to move into questions about the presentation. Like I said before, can we have order for council, please? Thanks so much. We're going to have a motion about the ratification of this design club later. So if you have questions about the ratification aspect of it, hold it till later. If you have questions about the club itself, feel free to ask them now, and these two are going to be leading the discussion.
Michael Woodway, I'm 77 president. So from my understanding, you have two sub-teams, the mechanical and the chemical. As someone who represents all disciplines, how do you see the other disciplines working into this and contributing to your team?
Yeah, that's really important. So what we found this year is with this project, again, these projects are smaller scale, so we're not always going to have a full breadth of all the disciplines in each project. But within our mech team right now, we have an electrical team. So 2 or 3 people, as I mentioned in that anecdote I was talking about earlier, where those students are getting that circuitry coding experience. It's not going to be a guarantee that there's going to be a breadth across all the time, but we're trying to keep the projects we'll pick, obviously, are picked by the students, and so they're going to be kind of by factor with at least a little bit of scope.
We're also filling the gap for the chem and engineering students, as we're able to build a team where they're able to do process engineering and practical chemical engineering. That's a main focus of my club.
Second question is, on your budget you have a surplus of over $3,000. So if you do get the dean's donation, where do you see the surplus going? Will it be into the next year, or will your budget be reorganized?
Yeah, so one of that is, I think, yeah, exactly. So that surplus, the budget again is a little loose, and we were also estimating a lot from external sponsors in that same regard. And I think I put $3,500 as dean's donation on there, whether or not it's seen as revenue. I don't. Okay, yeah. So exactly the same thing with sponsorships. Is it really depends on how much sponsorships we get. Also, we're assuming we're getting revenue off of merch, and that's something that I put in before I realized that that was a bit ambitious in our first year. And so, if there is ample budget, then that'll probably involve, if we're not expanding in the next year, rolling that over, and so we don't have to take as much for the dean's donation next year. Or some of the things that we've been thinking about is expanding into hackathons and places where we can send students where they get that actual building experience at other universities as some of that competition side.
I think there was a point of order.
Just point of information, I'm sure I can do this. Chairman, Director Zach, point of information. For this budget, this isn't like an approved budget by any means. This is sort of as a requirement for Design Club, they're required to show me a budget just as a way to get them thinking of finances. So it doesn't represent what they'd actually get next year, or what Dean's donation would give them. Also, the Dean's donation requires first the NSHLAC budget approval, which wouldn't really give a $3,000 surplus. They wouldn't approve that. They'd ask you to lower your Dean's donation anyway as part of NSHLAC before they can go for Dean's donation. This is more so just an idea of what their budget could look like if they get the sponsorships, if they get the Dean's donation. It gets them more so thinking about what their expenses are, so that I think they're not just thinking they can get $20,000 for no reason. That helps.
Randy Ellis, Director of Clubs and Conferences. Have you spoken to Dr. Quinn from the Burn Council team that he runs?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's aware that you're basically
Yes.
okay.
Well, the Carbon Capture team designs this.
Okay.
Yeah. We have
Sasha, we need to approve an equity and advocacy You mentioned your EDII AS efforts. I was just wondering what that entails and what your process or your plan is for that. I just didn't really understand what that actually entails and your steps towards that.
Regarding marketing or regarding the EDI?
No, you just said EDII efforts in terms of targeting density wise, etc. So I just was wondering what that entails.
Yeah, I believe Jake was talking about, but since we weren't ratified, we didn't have the ability to actually go to district flows or the NSB or WISE or whatever. We're not ratified, we're not allowed. So we're saying that next year we'll go to those clubs and after this, we'll see what's going.
Sorry, can I ask a question? What does the mean you're not allowed to?
Well, we were told that we're not allowed.
As an unratified.
As an unratified club, we're just like misinformed.
Yeah. Point of information, Jack Walker, President. Jack Walker, President. This is a point of information. Generally, we don't allow non-ratified groups to sort of promote themselves on our official channels because we have no real way to vet what they're promoting. So that's probably what you're referring to.
Yes.
Like the same way that we wouldn't like, we don't allow like people doing random research studies in the university to go put stuff on the whole report. Right? It's the same idea. Okay.
Better, yeah, you want to.
Ian Schaefer, Vice President of Finance Administration-elect, current Director of Regional Processes. It hasn't quite been said, so I'll clarify for the group. You are planning on making the Pension next year? Okay, and then second question, what does a 3-year plan look like for you guys in terms of transition, people moving up within your club? Just on kind of like hiring policy stuff, holding roles, so you're just interested in looking what that looks like for hiring your successors, just aware that you won't be able to be co-captains in your club before you're retired.
Yes. So that was really important. What the plan is that we will be co-captains in the 2025-2026 year, and then we will phase out, as we were talking about, a little bit of a mentorship. That's really important. The executives for each node will be picked in the spring, and then they will write the proposals that will then be picked by the general members in the fall. If that is that. And so yeah, that would be like in terms of continuation, that's going to be the cycle annually.
Bennett Demery, EC President. Your presentation, you can tell that you have put a lot of work into this over this year. As you expand to other disciplines, I see you have your one sort of faculty advisor, and you're kind of focusing more on the chemical sort of side right now. Are you planning on trying to find more when you reach out to different disciplines? And do you have any ideas of where/who those might be? You don't have to, but if you do, we'd love to hear.
Yeah, so for ratification, we're only allowed to have one faculty advisor, like on paper. That doesn't mean that we cannot go to other faculty advisors for technical advice on the other projects. So say we have like a hydrogen fuel cell project, there is a hydrogen fuel cell, or sorry, there is a professor that is doing work on hydrogen fuel cells, for example. That's what we do that, we're doing that right now. But we go talk to him for technical advice, or we're talking to grad students, so that they give us technical advice as we go through the projects. So yes, we would expand to other advisors. They wouldn't be officially faculty advisors, that's not allowed.
Sophia Thurston, Site 5 Faculty Board Rep. Would you mind going into a bit more detail about how you would pick projects and how that looks year after year?
Yeah, sure. So again, each year over the summer, the executives of that node would create proposals of projects that would fit, like in energy. Okay, so we're talking about energy storage, energy generation. They create those proposals, and then in the fall there'd be a voting system. So we'd get the general members in, and it would probably be a large.
Yeah, pretty much be like a roundtable or sort of / demo day type thing, where the executives would present each of the project proposals, so that the students get to opt into the project they want. This way, we only work on things that are actually of interest to the students. And the reason why the executives who actually draft the project proposals is to just reduce the time to actually start building, so that you don't have to go through the school year. Also, that the executives are able to tap in and understand what is relevant in climate tech in general, so that we can get to the students, be print only to the students, things that we feel are valuable to that program, and also continue to talk about
An important thing is like the expectation with the executives would be you may not get a project that you've put time into over the summer to like propose may not get picked. And that would be something that's a precedent that would be set initially, and so all the projects they would pick would have to be fleshed out thoroughly.
As a follow-up, is there kind of a backup plan for in the instance that a general member, there's not a project proposed that they're necessarily interested in? Is there kind of like a second avenue, even if it's just like research or something like that? Have you thought about that aspect?
Yeah, I mean, we could have either another project proposed by the members themselves,
and that would really only happen if there was a bulk of general members that couldn't find their niche in that scenario. Thank you.
I'm in Bondi Cypress, I'm in Westwood. It's a question about your expansion. It's fine if you guys haven't talked that far ahead, but Queens as a university, we have a lot of different students from a lot of different majors, from very much interested in sustainability as a concept and looking on technology towards it. So do you guys have any plans in terms of appealing to other faculties, the other other majors, and is that a part of your expansion plan?
Yeah, so I guess one of the best examples of this is potentially a climate project where you have, as you mentioned earlier, consulting projects. So you have like integration with commerce students, for example, whether they do sustainability related consulting or consulting at NGOs or other businesses on how they run their businesses more efficiently and more sustainably. Carbon credits, for example, like how do you maximize carbon credits with a specific business. So there are plans for across majors. It's just that currently we're focusing on engineering, getting the foundation up, so that later we can expand those to like other disciplines like that.
But the structure like kind of provides itself to do. So
Exactly.
if an opportunity presents itself, I think we will act on
We
it.
just split up the node, just do not have to try by
So I think that that's the time that we have for questions for this presentation. If you have more, you can ask them during the debate of the motion. Thanks so much for coming in. Congratulations.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you very much. That was our first presentation. We're now going to hear from QVFTE. The initials at QVFTE. Alright. Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm the current director at CBFT, which is the Team Vertical Farming Team. We're currently ratified as a design club under Amstrad, and we're trying to change the design team just to preface that. So a little bit about us is that we're primarily based on designing operational vertical farms. Currently we're working on a project in collaboration with Computing Crop and Christian News. And we've been building a vertical farm for him for the past 2 years, designing from scratch with him. And that's kind of been our main project for the last little while, and will continue to be our project for the next little while. We were founded in 2019 by Patrick C. Kimball. I don't know if any of you guys know him. He also founded TUS, the solar sign team as well. So just a little bit of history on that. And we continued to exist since then. We're cross-disciplinary, and we also have members on the team that are just like in bio, and then also a couple commerce students, not currently, but last year. So this is our mission statement. We kind of want to make vertical farming a lot more open source and a little bit more DIY. A lot of the things are on the market right now. It's pretty hush-hush on how to go about making your own vertical farm and having that operational, and we believe that people should be able to have access to this if they need to. So there's our farm that we currently have in Midway, growing dill right now. Super cool. But yeah, so why vertical farming? It uses a fraction of the land use to grow the same amount of crops, uses a fraction of the water use to grow the same amount of crops. This is super forthcoming technology. It's becoming more and more prevalent as the global food crisis persists, and I believe will continue to become more prevalent. Covered around for a while now, over 5 years, and we continue to have more and more interest every single year. Involves this blend, truly. Yeah, so it's just super interesting. The technology is continuing to evolve. So this is just a little bit of information on an aeroponic system. So currently we're operating, having mixing tanks where we use a Meadow Pro to mix the nutrients automatically into our mixing tank. right now, we have plant science, staff, tech, and like business operations. Those aren't like super strict in their like what they do. Mech team doesn't just have engineers on it, it's a solid mix. That's just more people that are focused on the actual design and building aspects of the club. Staff is focused on our sensors and our website, because in the interest of being open source, we're trying to have all of it be a live feed off of our website, so people can pick a plan and pick on different concentrations and get like the cocktail that you get to this plan, which is like a sheet that we already have going. And with computing prof, he is super interested in it as well, so he has live feed. We have breakable bells on all the plants, so you can watch a 24/7 video feed of the plants at all times, which is sick. Not on the website yet, but working on it. So that's what staff kind of does. And then business outreach is just looking at tours for us and other stuff we can do. And science keeps our plans live. They're off. So yeah. Financials, so we currently have access to an NSERC grant with Christian Muse, so that's primarily funding this farm. So we do that banking with him just because the NSERC grant is under his name and he applied to it to be in his lab. So like that's how that works. That's how this project is being funded primarily. And then we also been banking with EDSOC since 2019 for all of our own personal finances, because the NSERC grant only applies to everything that's physically attached to the farm. So we bought all of our own tools, promotional materials, stuff like that with EDSOC. Yeah, so I'm sure like that is subject to change once we launch the next project, but we're planning on being with Christian until at least September of 2026. So that's a little bit more down the line, and we have some next like stuff planned for when that elapses. So yeah, this is our project timeline. So we started with our prototype design a while back. March 2023 is when we actually put in and filed with Christian for the NSERC grant, and filed with like our design to get it. So it's called Kronos. That was the first one. We did like a little mock-up building of it. It exists. It drops. It now goes to mock those plants in this lab. The design on the top is the current 16 stack row zone that we're in the process of making. We finished one half of it. So we still have another 8 row zones to go, but half of it is built, and then a quarter of it is currently growing dill as we speak. And then in the interest of making vertical farming more open source, we designed a farm that is more budget friendly, because of course not everyone has NSERC money to be building a vertical farm. That's exceptionally expensive. So we do have a mock design currently of a budget version of the farm that we'd like to make. And then from that, we're also in talks of pivoting off into like a tabletop sort of design that the student can have on their desk or something if they'd like, but that's kind of our next steps. Yeah, so this is just a little bit more close to the Christian farm. It doesn't look exactly like this anymore, but that is like the mock-up zone. We still do all of the mixing and stuff ourselves with the nutrients and freshwater tanks, UV filters, all that jazz. We've shifted into using, we're repurposing lizard filters, because I guess we use lizards to mix them with proper interval. It also works really well for plants. So that's what we're using now, so that covers all of our hard piping, which was exceptional. But yeah, that's kind of the current project. Why should we be ratified? We have a ton of interest. We have a ton of members. We've been ratified with EDSOC since 2019. We just really want to change our portfolio from design club to design team. That's been a bit. We also have self-log the issues. All of our buildings done with all in ULab, so we don't need design data space. We have a faculty advisor. We have contingency plans in space. We kind of, to put it bluntly, insurance. We just need to change that by changing insurance. So yeah.
Tanner Warren, Director of Design. Just a clarification. Is there just a typo thing? It's a design club. They were currently a club under the Director of Clubs and Conferences. They're now applying to become a design club, not a design team. Yeah, no worries. Under the Director of Design portfolio. So a design team requires a competition. A design club does not. They don't have a competition. The biggest reason for this change is that they were basically a club that was building things, and so it makes more sense for them to be under my portfolio rather than theirs, just as a clarification for that.
Are there any questions?
Lucas Baylog Engineering Center. Your faculty advisor is Christian Muse, which is a very well respected prof, but in computer science, and you noted mostly mechanical type projects and like building things more on the engineering side. How does that work, having an advisor and a supervisor who's not in engineering when you're doing a very engineering project?
He's really well versed in vertical farming specifically and has done a lot of work and research in that area, and his specialty focus in that sense. And then we also like outreach to other like members of faculty. We do a lot of work in conjunction with Spark and with Laughlin, not just like really like coding stuff or asking people for help. But Christian's just super interested in the comp sci stuff, so he's really helping with our stack team and designing like sensors. All the tech that gets involved is all for him, and he loves it. So that's kind of how that works. I think that like in the future, if we do like different projects and pivot away from Christian, but he's an awesome resource for us to have right now. And yeah.
Sweet.
All right. Thank you very much. Please vote for me. Okay. So, when Chloe figures out how to use technology, even though she's a commentator, that was the presentations for today. Hooray, we're now going to move into new business, aka the motion, starting with 2 motions about the presentations that we just saw. Okay, great. Motion 3. Whereas Queen's Vertical Farming Team would like to be ratified as a design club instead of a club under Director of Clubs and Conferences, and whereas they build things so it makes sense to be under the Director of Design portfolio, be it resolved that Council approve the ratification of QVFT as a design club as seen in the appendix, Call Me a Tractor the Way I Be Farming. Moved by Tanner, the #1 overall draft pick for, and seconded by Sarah. That's Bert at the combine SKU. Is there an opening from either of our movers? All right, great. Is there any debate on motion 3? All right, seeing none, is there a closing from either of our movers? Motion 3, whereas Queen's Vertical Farming Team would like to be ratified as a design club instead of a club under Director of Clubs and Conferences, and whereas they build things so it makes more sense to be under the Director of Design portfolio, be resolved that Council approve the ratification of QVFT as a design club as seen in the appendix, Call Me a Tractor the Way I Be Farming. Moved by Tanner Warren, seconded by Sarah Skew. Can I see votes for the motion, please? It's like a rainbow flag. Beautiful. Can I see votes against the motion? Are there any abstentions? Motion 3 passes. Hooray! Congrats. All right, motion 4. Whereas we are looking to ratify Queen as a design club, and whereas we want to build technology aimed at solving climate change, be it resolved that Council ratifies our design club to upskill students as seen in Appendix 15. Moved by Jacob Soap Opera Rovella, seconded by Enough Mock Father Son, thirded by Tanner So Fresh So Clean Warren, additionally moved by Mo Clean Sweet Kelly. Is there an opening from any of our movers? Any of them? No? Okay, great. Is there any debate on the motion? Yes.
Ben Dever, EC President. Just a clarification question, same one as the last. Are they being ratified as a club or a team? The presentation they said they were a club already, and I'm quite confused.
Tanner Warren, Director of Design for Director Response. They're being ratified as a design club again. They don't have a competition, so they cannot be a team, so they're just a design club.
Connor Bosey, ERB Chair. Was just going through the charter. I think it looks wonderful. The one thing I'd like to point out is under transition manual, it reads all roles except for members will prepare for the written documents for their predecessors, and I assume that's supposed to be in successors. I just want that noted before we ratify a document with the correct term in there.
Oh, fact. Yeah. My beat.
All right. Is there any further debate on motion 4? Chloe's going to pull this up. It's going to be like so much later.
It's in the charter.
I have the new form.
Yeah, as long as it's edited, I don't care.
Okay.
Exactly.
Is there any final debate on motion 4? No? Is there any closing from any of our movers?
Thanks, y'all.
All right. Motion 4. Whereas we are looking to ratify Queen as a design club, and whereas we want to build technology aimed at solving climate change, be it resolved that Council ratifies our design club to upskill students as seen in Appendix by Jacob Ravel, seconded by Matt Khan, thirded by Tanner Warren, additionally moved by Mo Kelly. Can I see votes for the motion, please? Thank you very much. Can I see votes against the motion? Are there any abstentions? I'm gonna stop asking for Connor. All right, great. Motion passes. Congrats,
Let's go, man.
We have order in council. Something quick that I forgot to mention in my speaker's business, small thing. When you are speaking, you have to look at me. You don't look at each other in council, you look at me. So make sure you're projecting. All right, great. Motion number 5. Whereas the ECE and Tron clubs want to run their DSC elections after week 10, and whereas the DSC election bylaw does not allow this, be it resolved that council approves the Tron and ECE clubs to bypass bylaw 3.C.3 to run DSC elections ending as late as March 27th. Moved by Pablo, the appointed Tron rep wasn't very Tron friendly Silva, seconded by Bennett Skillet Demre. Is there an opening from either of our movers? Yes, go ahead.
Bennett Demre, EC president. Pablo and I are in the same boat where just the timelines of having bylaw says we have to run DSC elections by finish at the end of week 10. That's just not feasible given our timelines with our banquets. So we are essentially asking I would like to say specifically for this year only, this will not be for any other year, just so that we can extend it by like 3 or 4 days, just to allow us to not conflict our messaging with our banquets, nominations, ticket sales, and all that, as well as in terms of if people are concerned about enough transition time. I can state that the people who are on the presidents and the vice presidents of the Toronto EC Club have transitioned more people than so many people I know, that the transition will not be a problem given 3 less days. So this, yeah,
Thank you for that opening. Is there any debate on motion 5? Yes, go ahead.
Lucas Baylock, Engineering Center. Given the nicknames, would the mover declare to state their HCOP number for the room?
What?
HCOP? I thought not. Thank you.
All right. Is there any further debate on motion 5? Seeing none, is there a closing from either of our movers? No? All right. Motion 5. Whereas the ECE and Tron clubs would like to run their DSC elections after week 10, and whereas the DSC election bylaw doesn't allow this, be it resolved that council approves the Tron and ECE clubs to bypass bylaw 3.C.3 to run DSC elections ending as late as March 27th. Moved by Pablo Silva, seconded by Bennett Demre. Can I see votes for the motion, please? Thank you very much. Can I see votes against the motion? Are there any abstentions? Yeah, whatever. Motion 5 passes. That was a joke. All right. Motion 6. Whereas these clubs have not been active in over 2 years, and whereas we don't need extra affiliate groups that are not contributing to the Engineering Society, be it resolved that Council approves the de-ratification for QCLI, the Queen's Cerebral Language Innovation, the QSSC, Queen Students for Systems Change, and the IESTB, International Association for the Exchange of Students for Technical Experience. Clubs as seen in bylaw C.1, moved by Remy Allison, seconded by King Green. Is there an opening from either of our movers?
Remy Allison, Director of Clubs and Conferences. So these have been on watch by my upper. So Elizabeth was keeping these on watch, and then I also, what she basically said at the end of my term, they're still dead to ratify them. I've checked all their social medias. There hasn't been any posts since 2021, 2022 for all of them. And I've emailed them all, no response. She's emailed them all, no response. So just trying to condense the portfolio a little bit.
Amazing. Thank you for that opening. Is there any debate on motion 6? Yes, thank you. Seeing no debate on.
Sorry, point of information. I think it's supposed to be bylaw 10.C.1. Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no further debate on motion 6, is there a closing from either of our movers? All right. Motion 6, whereas these clubs have not been active in over 2 years, and whereas we don't need extra affiliate groups that are not contributing to the Engineering Society, be resolved that Council approves the de-ratification for QCLI, QSSC, and IAEST clubs as seen in bylaw 10.C.1. Moved by Remy Allison, seconded by King Green. Can I say what's for the motion, please? How fast can I say that? very much. Can I see votes against the motion? Are there any abstentions other than whatever comments are there? Motion 6 passes. All right, moving right along to motion number 7. Motion 7, whereas this conference has not had any activity for a year, and whereas we don't need extra affiliate groups that are not contributing to the Engineering Society, be it resolved that Council approves the de-ratification for QCTF, Queens, Captain the Flag, as seen in bylaw 8.3. Moved by Remy Allison, seconded by Peyton Brady. Is there an opening from either of our members?
Remy Allison, Director of Public Conferences. Same situation, a little bit of a different situation actually. So QCTF was active last year. Their co-chair applications have been open for over a year and a half. No one has expressed interest. We have been promoting it. The main issue with this club is even when they were running, there was not a lot of activity within the conference. And then also it requires a transfer of knowledge because it's a very technical conference and we don't have any idea of where they left off. We don't have any resources for that. So even if they were to, there were people who would want to do it, we don't have any resources for that. So.
Thank you for that opening. Is there any debate on motion 7?
Walker, President. I just want to confirm that this motion, like structure, is getting not includes the removal of them from file, right? Okay, perfect. Just because there's no appendix, so I just wanted to be sure that that was sufficient. Cool.
Is there any further debate on motion 7? Seeing none, is there a closing from either of our members? Motion 7, whereas this conference has not had any activity for over a year, and whereas we don't need extra affiliate groups that are not contributing to the Engineering Society, be it resolved that Council approves the de-ratification for QCTF, as seen in bylaw 10.B.3, moved by Remy Allison, seconded by Peyton Brady. Can I see votes for the motion, please? Very nice. Can I see votes against the motion? Are there any abstentions? Motion 7 passes. All right. Motion 8.
Article privilege, I think the second to the policy.
Motion 8. Whereas the oldies are old, whereas the babies are so young and full of vigor, be it resolved that Council induct the 2025-2026 Engineering Society Executive, Jordan Belinsky, Alexis Paredes, Jacob Esdale, and Ian Schaefer. Oh, I'm gonna reread that motion for the title. Be it resolved that Council induct the 2025-2026 Engineering Society Executive, Jordan Belinsky, President, Alexis Paredes, VP of Student Affairs, Jacob Esdale, VP of Operations, and Ian Schaefer, of Finance and Administration. Moved by Jack O. Walker, seconded by Mo Howe Kelly, third by Lily Good. Additionally moved by Avery Turntables McFadden. Is there an opening for either of our members? Yes, go ahead.
Jack Walker. Yeah, this is a pretty standard motion that needs to pass at every AGM in order to sort of officially, as a society, say we are passing the rules over to these guys in May. It's a pretty standard thing. The current executive will remain the current executive until May 1st, and then these guys will take over. Yeah, we want to speak now or forever hold your peace situation.
Amazing. So the way that we're going to run this is we're going to do debate, read the motion again, and then pass it, and then we'll have the executive read the note. So is there any debate on motion? Yes. We will miss you, however, if you have to leave for the rest of the night. You are welcome.
These guys told when I was informed by FC that you guys were doing research. So I reached out to FC and they said that you guys had research.
Yes, go ahead.
If it helps, I had Blake, our director of IT, he's also a direct email, and he was fine. Like, he actually correct hello and can't say. That helps.
Another point.
Because I want to go support my goal.
Okay, so just to clarify, you have reached out to Chief Rec and he said that Aaron wants to.
Did you guys reach out?
If they didn't, It's up to you if you'd like to stay or go. We'll be back. All right. Is there any debate on motion 8 about the induction of the executive? Seeing no debate on motion 8, is there a closing from any of our members? No? All right. Motion 8, whereas the oldies are old, whereas the babies are so young and full of vigor, be it resolved that Council induct the 2025 Engineering Society Executive, Jordan Malinsky, President, Alexis Paredes, ESA, Jacob Edsdale, Ops, and Ian Schaefer, EPFA, moved by Jack Walker, seconded by Mel Kelly, thirded by Lily Stuff, officially moved by Adrian McFadden. Can I see votes for the motion, please? Thank you very much. Can I see votes against the motion? Are there any abstentions? Would you like that noted in the minutes? Motion 8 passes. Come on down, guys. You get to read your oath.
Matt, do you have the oath?
Sorry?
Do you have the oath?
I do. I mean, it's the same one that was read at last year. Yes. Yes. So the way that this will read is that I will say a line, and then you will repeat that line until we are finished the oath. It will take us approximately 20 hours. Okay. The first line. Standing before the membership at this annual general meeting.
Standing before the membership at this annual general meeting.
Occurring on March 6, 2005.
Occurring on
March
March
6, 2025. Now say your name and what position you have all at once.
Jordan Malinsky.
Alexis Paredes, Vice President. Pledge to hold the values, duty, and vision.
Pledge to hold the values, duty, and vision.
Of the Engineering Society of Queen's University.
Of the Engineering Society of Queen's University.
Along with any other responsibilities of the member of the executive.
Along with any other responsibilities of the member of the executive.
As outlined in the Constitution, bylaws, and policy manuals of the Engineering Society of Queen's University. As outlined in the Constitution, bylaws, and policy manuals of the Engineering Society of Queen's University. Well done, guys. Thanks for on their own. Congrats. Oh, sorry, yeah, never mind, come back. My apologies, thanks for reminding me. Does anyone have any questions for our exec? Yeah, go ahead.
Lily Stock, Vice President of Operations. My question to the exec is, who in this room would you fight, and why, and also do you think you would win?
Good question. Anyone can start.
Jack, yes.
No explanation.
Avery's been lined up for too many times over. I feel like it's got to be character building at this point, and yes, obviously.
Avery, yes.
Jack, yes.
Any further questions for the exec?
Okay, we can play. If you were to write if you were to describe the Engineering Society in 5 words that rhyme, what would it be? Okay, 3 words that rhyme. 2 words that rhyme? Or a tagline.
Really silly Billy.
Automation.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Oh.
Slay, slay, slay.
Any further questions for our incoming exec? Yeah, go ahead.
More so a question for the room. I believe one of our incoming exec has their birthday today. I think we may have to sing them happy birthday.
I think this is a great idea.
Okay.
I think we should. Whose birthday is it? Is it Ian Schaefer's birthday? That's a great idea.
Vice President, the incoming Vice President Schaefer, how old are you today?
19.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ian. Happy birthday to you.
Thanks, guys.
And allows us to hold it. Be resolved that the Engineering Society of Queen's University and its members recognize that Jordan Malinsky, Alexis Paredes, Jacob Esdale, and Ian Schaefer will sit on the Engineering Society Research Center Houston Board of Directors as of May 1st, 2025. Moved by Jack Jelinski Walker, seconded by Mo Alreides Kelly, thirded by Louis Esdale Stock, and distributed by Avery E. for your guidance. Is there an opening from any of our members?
Jack, Walker. Yeah, so ESARC is basically a corporation that exists. The board of directors is composed of the current 4 executives of the Engineering Society, and this corporation basically exists for the purpose of allowing us to own the land that the Grease Bowl sits on, because NSOC as an organization doesn't really have any defined legal status, and so NSOC can't own land on its own. So that's pretty much what this is. We're just, again, approving that the new executive will sit on the board of directors of ESARC as of May 1st, because NSOC AGM is also kind of the member of ESARC.
Amazing. Is there any debate on motion 9? Yes, Senator.
Lucas Balag Engineering Center. Sorry, just to confirm, this owns the land that we climbed the grease pole on. The grease pole is not actively sitting unguarded there, right?
Correct.
Thank you.
Is there any further debate on motion 9? Seeing none, is there any closing from our members? All right. Motion 9, whereas it's good to own land, and whereas the Engineering Society Research Center allows us to hold it, be it resolved that the Engineering Society of Queen's University and its members recognize that Jordan Malinsky, Alexis Paredes, Jacob Esdale, and Ian Schaefer will sit on the Engineering Society Research Center Board of Directors as of May 1st, 2025. Moved by Jack Walker, seconded by Mel Kelly, thirded by Lily Stoggs, additionally moved by Ian McFadden. Can I see votes for the motion, please? Very nice. Can I see votes against the motion? Are there any abstentions? Max, that's, would you like that in the minutes? Yes? All of you? Yes? All right, cool. Motion 9 passes. Hooray. Motion 10. It's a funky one. Motion 10. Whereas Cressy Inc. needs to have their AGM, and whereas we need to elect next year's board of directors, be it resolved that the Engineering Society Council enter a recess and that the Cressy Inc. AGM be called to order. Be it further resolved that the Cressy membership elect the following to the Cressy Board of Directors: Jordan Malinsky, Jacob Esdale, Jack Walker, Lily Stock, Jacob Badali, David Strong, and Robert Noble. Moved by Lily Stock, seconded by Jack Walker. The way that this motion is going to work is that we're going to pass it like a regular motion, and the way that it's worded is that as soon as this motion is passed, we will immediately move into the recess, and the Cressy meeting will start. Is there an opening from any of our movers about motion 10?
Sure, I'll give a quick overview. I will try to do this quickly. Lily Stock, Vice President of Operations. I'm going to try to get through this quickly. So basically, Cressy is the corporation that owns the bookstore, and we have our AGM within the NSOC AGM. So, yeah, with consent of the meeting, I ask that we call our AGM to order.
The way that this motion is worded, I feel like we should do all the debate, and then we'll pass the motion, and then we'll move to Cressy if that's all right with us. Okay, perfect. Is there any debate on motion 10?
Actually, sorry, no, it was the other way around last year, so that there's debate within the motion as well.
Yeah. So we're going to pass motion 10 of council AGM, and then we're going to move into Cressy AGM. Okay, good. Is there a closing from either of our members regarding motion 10? Perfect. Whereas Cressy Inc. needs to have their AGM, and whereas we need to elect next year's board of directors, be it resolved that Engineering Society Council enters a recess, that the Cressy Inc. AGM be called to order. Be further resolved that the Cressy membership elect the following for the Cressy Inc. board of directors: Jordan Malinsky, Jacob Esdale, Jack Walker, Lily Stock, Jacob Adali, David Strong, and Robert Noble. Moved by Lily Stock, seconded by Jack Walker. Can I see votes for the motion, please? Thank you very much. Can I see votes against the motion? Are there any abstentions? Honor, are you abstaining? Cool. All right, motion 10 passes. Hey guys, and welcome to this.
Okay, I'll start by calling Cressy AGM to order at 7:56 p.m. With the consent of the meeting, I ask that Jack Walker act as secretary for this meeting. So, welcome to Cressy AGM. I am Lily Stock, a member of the board of directors of Cressy Incorporated. I am here on behalf of our president, David Strong. The matters to be dealt with at this meeting are those matters generally dealt with each year at our annual meeting. We hope that the various items of business will proceed smoothly, and we welcome any comments or questions that you may have on the floors as such matters arise. Before proceeding further, I would like Jack Walker to say a few words about those members who are present and who have been signed and delivered proxies for this meeting.
If you have given a proxy to another person to vote on your behalf, you should not vote but allow that person holding the proxy to vote in accordance with that proxy. This applies to all questions in which a vote should be taken, not just specific items that the proxy was in reference to. A member who has given a proxy to someone else but exercises his or her right to rescind that proxy, rescinds it in its entirety. So that for the balance of this meeting, anyone who has given a proxy and wishes to have it revoked, you should inform the scrutineers, who we will elect in a moment. In the moment that a ballot is called for, so a paper vote instead of by hands, the scrutineers will review the special ballots for this purpose. If you have any questions with respect to the voting procedures, speak with the scrutineers.
On that note, our first item is ratification of scrutineers to report on voting members present, and the numbers will represent those in person or by proxy for this meeting. The quorum of this meeting is 5 members of the corporation who are not members of the board, which is anyone who is not myself or Jack Walker. I move that the following resolution be adopted. Be it resolved that Madeline Provost and Chloe McCloskey are hereby appointed scrutineers to report on the members present in person and the number of votes represented in person or by the proxy at this meeting, and report to myself and Jack Walker. I will also ask now that someone second this motion.
Seconded.
We will now vote. Please, what do you say, Molly? All in favor?
Votes for the motion.
Nancy votes for the motion, please. Motion passes. 10:15 p.m. The second item of business is to confirm that notice was given on this meeting to all voting members. The motion was included in the agenda, therefore notice was given. The next item on this agenda is the financial statements. Unfortunately, our finance chair cannot be here tonight, but I am happy to report that the books for finances were audited by KPMG, as they are every year, and they were reviewed by the board, and the finances were found to be in compliance with the mission of the bookstore, which is to supply textbooks and course materials to students at Queen's University at the lowest cost possible. I move the following resolution to be adopted. Be resolved that financial statements fiscally ending on May 31st, 2024 are accepted, and I will look for someone to second this motion.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion passes. 10:09 p.m. Now for the election of directors, this is the important part. The bylaws of the corporation provide that one position of the board of directors shall be held by a person appointed by Queen's University that we will not be ratifying tonight. Another person will be ratified by the board, which we will also not be ratifying tonight. We will be ratifying 7 remaining positions on the board of directors, which are available to persons nominated by the Engineering Society. 5 of which are students, 2 of which are faculty. I wish for the following resolution to be adopted. To resolve that the following individuals be elected as Quest Board of Directors: Jack Walker, Lily Stock, Jake Vidali, Jake Bedsdale, Vern Belansky, David Strong, and Robert Noble as the 2 faculty members. Can I get some seconds, please? Thank you, Connor. Okay, so go to the motion. Motion passes. Congratulations to our new returning board members who have been elected as directors of the corporation until the end of the year, until your successors are elected or appointed. The next item of business is the appointment of an auditor for the current year. I move that the following resolution be adopted. Be resolved that KPMG is hereby appointed as the auditor for the corporation to hold office until the close of the next annual general meeting of members. Can I get someone to second this? Can I see votes on the motion? Motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the remuneration of the auditor. The next item of business is to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration amount and move that the following resolution be adopted. Be it resolved that the directors of the corporation are hereby authorized to fix the remuneration amount of the auditor of the corporation until the next annual general meeting of members.
Point of information?
Yes.
Can you clarify what that means?
We're going to decide how much we're paying people next year.
Yep.
Can someone please second this?
Second.
Connor? Can I see votes for the motion? Motion passes. I'd like to call upon one of the scrutineers to confirm that quorum has been met in this meeting by confirming that there are no fewer than 5 members present who are not currently directors of the corporation. Quorum is confirmed. Awesome. The scrutineers report that a quorum is present, and therefore we can have a meeting to be regularly constituted, and direct that the report of the scrutineers be annexed to the minutes of this meeting. Is there any further business, or does anyone have any questions? Yes.
Lucas Baylog, Engineering Center. Bylaw 19 of Quessy requires that the report of the president, the financial statements, and report of the auditors be presented at this annual general meeting. I have not seen that presented yet. Is there a reason for that, given that the lawyer, last time we had a general meeting for Quessy, said that we should be getting this at the annual meeting?
some details about what to present, but the full audited financial statements as a document are not released publicly. So, pardon me? Okay, yeah, so I have some statements to present from the auditor, if that will suffice, but the full statements can't be released publicly because it's a competitive business, and that's the
As
board.
long as there's a presentation, I'm happy.
Perfect. Yeah, so I will jump into that probably following all of the formal motions of this Questi AGM at the end, if that's cool.
Can I have someone second my motion, please?
Second.
I think I heard Sophia. Okay. Can I see what's the motion? Motion passes. Yeah. Yes. Okay, and that is the end of our meeting. Thank you, guys.
Well, yes, so.
Sorry, I moved that the meeting be terminated until the second list.
Whoa, point of order.
Oh, right.
I'm gonna present, and then we'll motion then. Yes, so the audited financial statements were looked over at our last board meeting. I have basically the brief from the auditor here. We audited the financial statements between the University and Engineering Society Services Incorporated, which comprise the consolidated statement of financial position as of May 31st, 2024, the consolidated statement of operations for the year that ended, the consolidated statement of changes in net assets for the year that ended, the consolidated statement of cash flows for that year, and the notes to the financial statements, including a summary of significant accounting policies, which I will be taking a look at. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of Questi as of May 31st, 2024, and its results of operations and its cash flows then ended in accordance with Canadian accounting standards and not-for-profit organizations. So a few specific notes about Questi, and this is a long document, so please bear with me while I go through it. One thing to note is that the auditors found that our margins, essentially, or our markups as business are significantly lower than basically any other business operating the same business.
Same industry?
Yeah, exactly. Like our competitors, other schools, our margins are significantly lower. Almost every other school's bookstore operates as just a branch of the school. They're not privately owned, and as a result, they can potentially be money makers for the school. So Questi is operating at significantly lower margins. I am just going to scroll through really quick for any other major notes. The biggest thing to note was that the auditors found that everything was in compliance, and our margins have continued to be significantly lower than our competition, which are the two major mandates of the organization, essentially. The other major thing to note, sort of in accordance with the mandate of Questi, is that our salary expenses as a bookstore were significantly lower than others in the industry. So again, we're spending less money on salaries, and we are pulling in less profit on supplies than competing bookstores. Happy to take any questions.
Oh yeah, you're running this. Yeah. Lucas Baylor, Engineering Center. So, do you confirm for the record that the auditor has stated that the bookstore is in good financial health?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Votes for the motion to terminate the meeting, if you didn't. Amazing. That was a fun recess. Alright, we're going to keep moving on with the Engineering Society. Yeah, with motion 11. Motion 11. Whereas the advisory board is in need of some review and restructuring, and whereas we don't want to elect people onto the board, which may be changing significantly in the next 4 months, be resolved that hiring and elections for the new members of the advisory board be paused until the beginning of the fall 2025 semester. Be it further resolved that the terms of the one-year advisory board members Yahya Mohammed and David Kalasa be extended until the second council meeting of the fall 2025 semester. Moved by Yahya, hey, can I get an Mohammed? Seconded by Lily Badmore and Stock, thirded by Jack Holden, board Walker. Is there an opening from any of our members?
Yeah, Mohammed, that was board chair. So I know that probably 90 to 95% of the people in the room don't know what's advisory board, so I'll give a quick brief. Advisory board is pretty much as old as Beamish Monroe Hall. It is made to oversee, not oversee, kind of like support the services that we have in NSTOC. So we meet with each service 3 times, one in late summer, early school year to approve their budget, one mid-year to make sure their budgets, they are still in compliance with their budgets, and one at the end of the year to see how do they go. And twice with Sci Formal and OAK. So advisory board consists of 6 student members, and 4 of which are 2-year members, 2 of which are 1-year member, and 2 faculty members and 2 alumni members. According to our policy and the bylaws, each EGM advisory board should be having 4 new members elected on an EGM. It's not like any other EGM election or council election. Advisory board, how its hiring is done is you apply for easy, you get interviewed, and according to our policy, we give 1.5 times the candidates. So 6 candidates supposedly to each EGM, and then 4 of which get elected on the board. 2 as a 2-year member and 2 as a 1-year member. So at every year on the board, you have 2 2-year members in the first year, 2 1-year members, and 2 2-year members in the second. Hopefully that clarifies what's happening. How advisory board works. Advisory board at the beginning of the year, we had John, one of our faculty members, step down, and we also had one of our student members who was 1-year member. Yeah, 2-year member in the second year stepped down. So board was working on a smaller number. So and board have seen less interactions, less engagement in the past few years, especially after COVID, as lots of corporate knowledge was lost during COVID, and we know that. Also, board there has been lots of outdated policy with the board, so we do believe that board policy needs to be looked at in a more significant way, and this is going to be a summer project as a collaboration between the board and the new exec. So instead of hiring people into a board that we don't know what's going to be exactly happening into, we decided to implement the hiring freeze. To be frankly honest, the hiring freeze happened after the posting was out, so the candidates were informed that their hiring is not cancelled or anything. They will be interviewed, and early fall of 2025 when the hiring freeze is lifted. So, and to make sure that the board does still function over summer, I'm one of the members who I'm ending my 2-year membership, so my membership will be extended just till the next fall, so we allow for experienced board members at least to work with the new exec to actually have a better policy, and also to still have all week budget approved, and also Science Quest all of the operations work, and some of our summer meetings that need to be done to approve the budgets of the services happen. And also David Class is also here. He's currently a board member, 1-year board member, so his term should have ended in May, so it will be extended to also September. So the motion now is to do the hiring freeze and extend the 2 people on the board till May. So yeah, any questions?
Thank you for that opening of motion 11. Is there any debate on motion 11? Yes, go ahead.
Okay, Connor Bosey, ERB Chair. 2 crucial questions about the motion. Question number 1, is the term of Advisory Board Chair Mohammed being extended along with the extension of his position on the Advisory Board, or is Chair being reassigned to someone else on the Advisory Board?
Direct response. It should be extended as the person who also who stepped down at the beginning of the school year as the vice chair. So I'm the only chair right now.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Second question. As per bylaw 18.b, I just want to ask a question about why this is being brought to AGM, where we're expected to be electing ad board members, and why it was not brought to council in advance of AGM. I feel that because our bylaws state that this should be done now, it feels like this is a decision that should have been made prior to today. And I was wondering if this is a relatively recent decision, or kind of the thought process that went into this motion.
Just go ahead. Go ahead.
Director Collins, Secretary of Operations. Yeah, so we have been thinking about this for a while, the executive at least, but it took us a while to really decide if this was beneficial for the Engineering Society. or if it was not worth it to make these changes. And so we were only really able to figure out exactly what we wanted to do and discuss with y'all recently. And so there wasn't a full budget plan for another council. So this is just timing for us.
Yeah, yeah, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on this. But I think part of the reason we also decided to bring it to this council is because we had insufficient candidates for AGM for election at this council, which was part of the deciding factor. Is that, no? Oh, my mistake. Oh, my mistake, sorry. That was at least as of when this motion was submitted.
Yeah.
Connor Bozzi, ERB chair. Okay. Regardless of whether or not there was sufficient candidates for this, I think what the point that I want to get at, that I just want to make clear to council, is that looking at this motion, because of the fact that our bylaws are written that this election should be happening today, it feels that this is a decision that council is making too late. It is a decision that council is making past the point where council can actually make a decision on this front. It feels like a decision has been made for council and is now being presented to council at a time where if we had been brought this decision earlier, we could have been like, yeah, this sounds reasonable, we're gonna do this, and then it makes sense to not do it at AGM. But because it's being presented at AGM, when that's also when the elections are supposed to happen, it kind of puts council in a hard place where they are unable to do their job of vetting a decision being made and making it as a collective, and I'm just worried about the precedents it sets. I don't necessarily disagree with the motion, I want to make that very clear that I don't necessarily disagree. It just feels like it was a decision made outside of council that is being brought to council, too late for council to make a decision on the issue.
Alright, the next person on my list is Ben. Go ahead.
Ben Dever, EC President. I had two questions. One of them was Connor's second question that's been covered. The other is special vote thing at AGM is that everyone gets a vote. So if we were to do advisory board elections in the fall, would that only be restricted to voting members can vote who's on that panel? And if so, that skews who can vote for it. It's supposed to be everyone's supposed to be able to vote on it. That's why it's at AGM.
Direct response, Jack Walker, President. Yeah, so I mean, the whole thing with this is that we are likely going to be doing a very significant overhaul of ad board policies. So councils 1 and 2 will likely be readings of ad board policy and bylaw, which will have been very significantly changed. If the new versions of policy and bylaw mandate that we still elect the ad board at a general meeting where everyone has a vote, we can call an SGM or we can wait till AGM, whatever is the most logistically feasible. But there isn't even a guarantee that that will remain the case with the new policies. Like, it's possible that new policies come to council in the fall that don't mandate that, and if everyone's cool with it, then it's a non-issue. So the council 1 and 2 in the fall will be hopefully the passing of the new policies, and then depending on what the new policies require for the election, that decision can be made then. We can call an SGM if we need to.
Okay. Thanks.
You're on my list as well. Next is Senator Bailey.
Lucas Bailog, Engineering Center. We sat in this room 2 months ago, the last time that a decision was made that required council to basically approve something retroactively. I was not happy with it at the time. I'm not happy with this one at this time. I will be voting no on this policy. Speak however you want. I agree with Connor with what he said. It makes sense. Just personally, I'm not okay with that. That is my opinion. I wanted that noted for the record for what people are asking why I voted no.
It has been noted for the record.
Thank you.
I don't know which one of you. Raise your hand first.
Elise Toth, Vice President of Operations. I just want to clarify why this motion is being raised, just in case anyone missed it. We're not just changing ad board for the sake of changing ad board. Ad board is not currently function the way it functioned before COVID, and it is not functioning in a way that is most efficient for the engineering society and most helpful for the services. The advisory board exists to the benefit of the services, and we have not seen the benefit to the full extent that advisory board could have since well before COVID. This motion exists so that we can bring that back. We are trying to revive advisory board for the benefit of our student members on advisory board, for the benefit of our services. And so the people who are currently on advisory board, the people who are currently involved in the services have seen this need over the last couple of years. I've been not only the current Vice President of Operations, I was also the Director of Regional Services. I've been going to advisory boards since 2023, which was also the first year that any of the services opened up at full capacity post-COVID. This is a necessary change, and while this is not an ideal timeline, this is a one-time issue. This isn't something that's going to be happening for years and years and years. We just know that we have to make this one blip in our timeline so that we can have a better advisory board for years to come. So while I know it isn't ideal, this is a sacrifice that we have to make. There wasn't really another timing or a good time for us to do this, especially with transition and the new executive being elected, but also for us to have an idea of what actually needs to happen. And while we were trying to figure out what idea would work for advisory board, we realized that this is going to be a summer project for the executive because this is not a small enough project for the outgoing executive to finish within a month, which is why it's going to AGM. And as Jack mentioned, we can call an SGM in September, but the way that we elect members may end up changing, and the way that we hire members may end up changing, and so we don't see that it's beneficial to be on right now, because the rules might also change. We don't think it's fair to elect people to this board, given that they may be in a role that they did not want, depending on how this board then changes, which is why we want to postpone this until September. But, as I've already mentioned, an SGM would allow everyone to vote and for us to elect people again.
Next on my list is Craig Walker.
Yeah, Walker. I also just want to add a note on the retroactiveness of this. Just for clarity's sake, this decision is not something that was made and then a decision made to not hire ad board members like far back in the process. Like, I mean, again, Yaya can correct me on the exact dates, but I think the first time I talked with Yaya about any of this was like something like close to a week ago. So at that point, if we had already had ad board members, like we needed to have them hired already regardless, and we didn't. Like it's the timelines of the two things were kind of happening in parallel, but this wasn't we cooked this up and then we decided we were not gonna have ad board members, and then we went to council to ask if that was okay. We didn't have ad board members and we were doing this. I hope that makes sense.
As a reminder to everyone, please keep debate moving forward, and if you've already said something, you don't need to repeat it. That's not to anyone specific, and I mean that sincerely. Just a reminder. Next on my list is Michael Woodman.
Michael Woodway, I'm 77 president. I just have a question because I see both sides of the story. If we were to vote no today, what would happen?
I don't want to talk either.
Louis Stock, Vice President of Operations. If we were to pass this motion, sorry,
just look at me, you did.
If we were to pass this motion, we would probably have to call an SGM later in the semester, which would be ideal, or also this could be done over the summer since councils can be called over the summer technically. It would be sort of messy. We'd have to sort it out with a lot of time and effort from the current executive, the new executive, and the entire ad board. But it could be done. It just would set our timeline back, and yeah. But that said, there isn't a whole lot left of ad board. There are just final presentations. So I think transitioning would probably be okay because we have the summer. But it would probably create a large time for all of these firms and executive ad board.
Next on my list is
Sorry, I've done a lot of stuff recently. I have two questions. Both kind of directed to Becca. Do you see any do you anticipate there being any issues with advisory board not really existing in the fall because you're going to be electing them in the fall, so is it bad that there's just going to be no one for advisory board in the fall? And what do you anticipate? What are some of the problems you anticipate for that? And then I'll ask my second question later.
Like response, just to confirm, you are asking about about engagement with the advisory board in September, right? Is that the question? Like, if we're gonna have enough applicants, or do you mean like existing? Sorry, could you clarify?
It says you're extending
To fall 2025, yes.
to the all of fall?
No, second council of fall 2025.
Okay, that makes sense. Sorry, I just thought it was for the summer. That makes sense. And my second question is, like, I know that Yaya specifically mentioned policy changes, that things is one of the changes in policies. Not to like bring this up, but the version of policy on the website is still 2023 for the Word version. And I just want to clarify that he was not looking at that version.
Regardless, advisory board policy have not changed in a long time, which is also one of the reasons as lots of stuff with services have been working a bit different since COVID, and that means we are unable to comply with the current policy in the policy manual, which means that. And just also for record, I do understand why everyone thinks this is being brought up to AGM and it shouldn't be ideally brought up to AGM, and I fully agree with this. But I do believe that it is for the best benefit of the services and for the advisory board for this to happen, so we're then able to make that change, so we can actually have a functional and actual advisory board. And I feel like this is a necessity that is needed for the board and for the services, in my opinion.
On my list is
Okay. Connor Bosey, ERB Chair. In light of your debate, I just wanted to confirm something for Council. We do have our new Executive Director team in here today, and I want to make it clear that from what Yaya exactly was just saying, that I understand that the motion, it sounds like, is only being brought today because it was kind of the timeline of when it happened and didn't happen in advance to do that. And I can understand that, and I understand that sometimes things don't go in the timelines that we want them to. But in the spirit of, I think, setting an example and precedent for moving forward, I think I want to make it very clear that decisions at council, whenever possible, should be made so that council can make them. And I think that was the point I was trying to make earlier, but I realized I didn't probably get that across in a well enough way. So I just wanted to make sure that I could clarify that point from the stance of the ERB, that precedent is a dangerous thing to set in any one scenario, and it should be decided by the majority of people as opposed to any one person or any small group of people. That is my belief in it. So I think that in this case, I understand the circumstances that led us here, but I just wanted to clarify for council that simply because the circumstances led us here, and it has us doing this conversation right now, doesn't mean that whenever possible we shouldn't be allowing council to make decisions. Is I think what I want to say.
Is there any further new debate on motion 11? All right. Is there a closing from any of our movers?
Stop this personal version. I'll be super quick. Like I said, this isn't our ideal timeline, but this is unfortunately the timeline that we are working with. This is a change that we think that we being people who are on advisory board, people who are involved in the services, the directors of services, believe would be most beneficial for the services and for the engineering society and for the three members of the advisory board. While a lot of the people in this room have not sat on an advisory board before, you may not be familiar with it. I understand that it can be difficult to decide which way to go, but please know that we are doing this with the engineering society's best interest at heart. We aren't doing this because we're trying to do some weird power move. I'm not too sure, but this is genuinely just what we think would be best, and this is us trying to restore a body that was much more efficient and effective before COVID and has since lost a lot of its ability to advise the services in a way that's actually helpful and produces results that the services can use. Please consider that, although the timeline isn't great, this is for everyone's benefit in this room. Thank you.
All right. Motion 11. Whereas the advisory board is in need of some review and restructuring, and whereas we don't want to elect people onto a board which may be changing significantly in the next 4 months, be it resolved that hiring and elections for the new members of the advisory board be paused until the beginning of the fall 2025 semester. Be it further resolved that the terms of the one-year advisory board members Yahya Mohammed and David Colasso be extended until the second council meeting of the fall 2025 semester. Moved by Yahya Mohammed, seconded by Lily Stock, thirded by Jack Walker. Can I see votes for the motion, please? Thank you very much. Can I see votes against the motion? Would you like that noted in the minutes?
Yes, please.
Are there any abstentions? Would you like that noted in the minutes? I already know you want yours noted in the minutes. Would you like yours noted? All right. So, sorry, just clarify. No, yes.
No.
No for you as well? Thank you very much. Would you like that noted in the minutes? Yes. All right. Thank you very much. Motion Motion 11 passes. Motion 12. Whereas, I try to pronounce it. Yes?
EHA for Director of Internal Process, I guess, Vice President of Finance Administration elect. We're showing the director because of correct tonight. I motion to amend the agenda to push this to after elections. What is that?
Sorry, still this meeting?
Yes, still this
Oh,
meeting.
yeah.
It's like we have elections happening, and I just want to give enough time for Ella to get back from cooking.
Point of information, Connor Rosie, Erie Chair. This is simply procedural, and as the agenda was moved by Speaker Provost and Director of Governance McCloskey, you just say it's friendly and move it
Okay,
back.
yeah, great. We're all friends.
Yep.
All right, cool. So this is now going to be motion 15, and we will now do motion 12. It's going to take Louis like 3 seconds to do this. All right. So thank you for order. Can we have order, council, please? Thank you. The motion is taken friendly. The director motion is going to be our last motion of tonight, motion 15. We will now move into motion 12, the election of the general Fed Fund representative. This is our first election motion, so I'll kind of explain a little bit about how elections go at council, and then we'll move into the actual motion itself. So what's going to happen is I'm going to read it all, and then I'm going to call for nominations. You can raise your placard and nominate yourself, or you can nominate somebody else. I have a seconder for every nomination, and after there's 2 people who have nominated someone, the person can either choose to accept the nomination or respectfully decline it. Once that's done, everyone's going to come down, we'll ask questions, and then they'll go outside and we'll vote. Any issues? Okay, great. Motion 12. Whereas we love AGM elections, and whereas we need a general Fed Fund representative for the 2025-2026 academic year, be it resolved that council elect blank as a general Fed Fund representative for the 2025-2026 academic year. Moved by Monica Node Saw, seconded by Paige, President's Choice Ellis. Is there an opening for either of our movers?
Monica Saw, Director of Academics. So for Fed Fund, we've got 11 representatives each year. 9 of them are from discipline clubs, which are elected in the discipline club elections, and then first year is with, same thing with first years in the fall, so we're bringing just the general rep as cabinet council so we can get someone to rep the general fund. That's pretty much it.
Amazing. Thank you for that opening. I'll now ask for nominations. Would anyone like to nominate themselves or somebody else as a general Fed Fund rep? Yes, go ahead.
I nominate Jenny Bro.
Is there someone who seconds the nomination? Seconded. Would you like to accept this or respectfully decline? Is there any further nominations? Go ahead.
I'd like to nominate Sophia Marianne.
Is there a second for this nomination? Yes, seconded. Would you like to accept or respectfully decline?
I would like to nominate Abed.
Second. Seconded. Would you like to accept this or respectfully decline?
Gracefully accept it.
Go ahead.
I'll nominate my Benford, Sophia Thurston.
I respectfully decline.
Is there any final nominations? Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to nominate Jack Walker.
No, I'm bringing that one. Is there any seconds on this motion? Would you like to accept this or respect?
I just don't believe I'm even eligible.
Fair enough. All right. Any final nominations? All right. Come on down. We will now go through the whole process of asking you questions and then electing you and all that good stuff. It's probably best, yeah, go and then come back in. So if you want to write your name on the board, your full name, so you know how to put it in the agenda. Like probably go to the side or whatever, right? All right, amazing. Does anyone have any questions for our candidate? Yes, go ahead.
The purpose of the Better Education Fund is to represent the engineering students at King's University and to purchase equipment for them to help them in all matters, whether it's academically, the host events, or otherwise.
Any further questions? Yes.
Ben Demer, EC president. Say you were to find $400,000 somewhere, and you could make one purchase to benefit those students. What would you do?
Can you repeat the first part of the question?
If you found $400,000 somewhere, you could make one purchase to benefit the most amount of students. What would it be and why?
You can take it anything
It doesn't have to be $400,000.
I'm just saying, it's like, we have to think about it. I think, you know, like, whether it's $400,000 or some other large sum of money, you know, like, I personally, like, because, you know, the Engineering Society is very large, thousands of members, I don't personally have enough information to say that, oh, this purchase specifically will benefit the most amount of people. So I think to answer your question, to figure out what would benefit the most amount of people, I think would involve talking to, for example, the presidents of discipline clubs, the NSOC executive committee, and so on, to determine what purchase would be the most beneficial to the most amount of students.
Is there any further questions for our candidate? Yes, go ahead.
Lucas Bailog, Engineering Center. There are 4 directors of education in this room. Which ones do you think you could take in a fight and win?
Education.
Academics.
If you are or were a director of academics, can you raise your hand so that our candidate has...
And the split.
Or will be.
Or will be.
Or will be, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. Which one do you think you could take in fight?
Wait, fight academic.
You can just point.
Connor.
Is there any further questions for our candidate?
fight one backside
Seeing no further questions, I'll now ask you to step outside. Could you make sure the door at the back is closed, please? You can just step outside the hallway. And let's clap them in. Thank you very much. All right. All right. So officially, the election is incomplete until we pass the motion. We had the opening for this. We ran the debate. Is there any further debate on motion 12? Seeing no debate, is there a closing to either of our members? Thank you. All right. Motion 12. Whereas we love AGM elections and whereas we need a general bed fund representative for the 2025-2026 academic year, be it resolved that Council elected Bedell Ronald Shahabi as the general bed fund representative for the 2025-2026 academic year. Moved by Montezad, seconded by Paige Ellis. Can I see votes for the motion, please? against the motion? Are there any abstentions? All right, motion 12 passes. Congrats. Very nice. All right, motion 13, which was motion 12, but is now motion 13. All right. Whereas DSC election bylaw allows members to hold multiple positions even when there are other contestants, and whereas we need to change that, be it resolved that council approve the changes to bylaw proposed in appendix dancing synchronized cats. Moved by Monica Creamy Sal, seconded by Jackie Marshmallows Walker. Is there an opening from either of our members?
It's basically in the motion that there's some, like, right now in DSC elections, if somebody gets elected for positions, they're allowed to hold them even when there are other contestants. So we just want to change that to ensure that we have the most involvement and the most opportunities out there. And it's still allowing for students to hold two positions in the event where there is an uncontested role. That way, someone has to fill the role and just to not get extra work for more executives on the DSC. But if there are other available members who would like to be part of the DSC, then it is best for everyone in the engineering society to distribute these roles to as many people as we can.
Thank you for that opening. Is there any debate on motion 13? Yes, go ahead.
We capitalize fall for the fall elections.
What?
Can we just capitalize fall, like the first line?
Is there any further
That's just all, yeah, fourth line, first line, just capitalize fall and fall elections. That's just,
I guess spring as well.
old, yeah, yeah, it's spring, yeah.
Okay, winter. Ben.
Ben Denver, EC president. I do support this motion as a DSC president. We've been doing it kind of already. Whoops. Like I said, a little bit of clarification. So if, say, somebody were to run for two different positions, both uncontested, would you still have them choose one and then elect the next one in the fall, or would you let them still take both?
Yes, in the spring vote, you are not allowed to have more than one position if it's uncontested because there's another opportunity for someone else to take that role.
Okay. And then if it is contested, then they forfeit their place. They choose one, they forfeit their place for the other one, and you go with the next highest candidate.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a point there.
Sophia, there's a side by fact, we're at HB, but for elections, not spring. For the, considering how the term worked out.
Thank you. Senator Bailon.
Lucas Bailog, Engineering Center. Thank you for clarifying the whole, what happens to the other positions if that get turned down because that person won. But can we put that in writing that the positions they turned down are then taken by the next highest voted candidate? If that makes sense? Because right now, as it stands, there's no direction, right?
Yeah.
Am I reading that right?
Point of information, Connor Bozzi, ERB Chair. It should probably be C.6.1 as a tab underneath it, just to clarify for the whole point of the bylaw, as opposed to just like individually per each of them. Yeah.
Is that taken as well?
Yes. I'm sorry, I need to read it because I think if I word it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I need like 3 weeks.
Connor Bozzi, ERB Chair. It can be phrased as relinquished roles shall be given to the next highest candidate in the voting order.
All right. While Chloe types that out, is there any further debate on motion 12? All right. She's going to finish running that. I'm going to move to the rest of the voting procedure.
Next highest, count the vote, or vote count.
Is there any closing from our members, or are we still in the oil and the right place? Good? Okay. All in agreement? All right. Motion 12. I'm so sorry, I have some hands Motion 13, whereas DSC election bylaw allows members to hold multiple positions even when there are other contestants, and whereas we need to change that, be it resolved that council approve the changes to bylaw proposed in appendix dancing synchronized cast. Moved by Montesad, seconded by Jack Walker. Can I see votes for the motion, please? Thank you very much. Can I see votes against the motion? Are there any abstentions? Motion 13 passes. Motion 14. It's another election. Whereas Maddie's a great speaker, but she can't do it forever. Be it resolved that council elects blank as the speaker for the 2025-2026 council. Moved by Chloe, who is baby Maddie McFawcett, seconded by Madeline. Don't call them that, Provo. Is there any opening from our movers? Can I open my motion? Okay, of course I can. I'm gonna open. I needed a speaker. Madeline Provo, speaker. Just so everybody knows, this speaker is also going to be the chief electoral officer for next year. So they're going to be speaking at every council, but also they'll help run the general engineering elections. So it's a double-sided role. Do you have anything else you want to add about this?
Yeah, well, let me go about opening. Chloe McFawcett, Director of Governance. Maddie did a great job, and don't let that scare you away, because Maddie also went to her first ever council last year at AGM, and honestly, not to a fault of her own, didn't know as much about the role, and took initiative and learned a lot. And I think she's great proof that if you want to do it, you can be really good at it. So just because maybe you don't necessarily know what you're doing right now, doesn't mean that you won't do a really great job as speaker next year. So if this is something that interests you, like absolutely nominate yourself for it. It's great. It's a great position. Yeah.
Exactly. All right, we'll move into debate. Is there any nominations? Yes, go ahead.
I nominate Samuel DeBear.
I accept.
Is there a seconder? Seconded by, and you gracefully accept? For sure. Is there any further nominations? Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to nominate Ethan Powell.
Is there any seconds? Second?
I would like to respectfully decline.
Is there any seconds for Lucas Baylock? Seconded. Would you like to accept or respectfully decline?
Sure.
Can we have order at council if you're not nominating someone, please? I'll wait off the list of the minutes. Second.
I respectfully decline.
Is there any final nominations before you move into elections? That's why I need first, yes.
Question. Can you be a director while acting as speaker?
I don't think so. No.
It's a conflict of interest to oversee the election for the next year's executive.
That's true. Was that another nomination that I saw? I think I saw one. Yeah.
I'd like to nominate in the back corner there. I don't, you, let's do that.
My name's Emerson Curry.
Sure. I'd love to nominate him.
Seconded? Would you like to accept it? Or respectfully decline?
Sure.
All right, any final nomination?
You can show the next bit that was
I don't know if I can say it. Someone's got it.
All right, order in council, please.
As Speaker Provost alluded to, as Speaker, you have a dual role between both Speaker of the Engineering Society and Chief Electoral Officer of the Engineering Society. Before we get into the majority of the Speaker issues, I want to ask a question about specifically the Chief Electoral Officer side. Specifically, how would you deal with any conflicts of interest in the elections process, and why do you feel it's important that we are able to run neutral elections?
Great question. So the way that this is going to work, it was a bit more relaxed when we only had one candidate, but now that we have three, I'm going to give each of you 30 seconds to answer this question, and then for each question, we're going to change who starts by answering the question. So Emerson, if you want to go first, and then we'll move from left to right on your side. You'll have 30 seconds. At 10 seconds left, I'll say 10 seconds, and then at 30 seconds, I will cut you off.
Okay, so just to review, the question was on conflicts of interest in the electoral process?
Conflicts of interest and the importance of neutrality in the Engineering Society elections.
Okay, yeah, so the neutrality is super important. And everyone knows each other. This is end talk. But personally, for conflicts of interest, I think I would have to step back and rely on the procedure a lot. Okay, I'm just not prepared for this. Rely on the procedure as to not make any decisions based on opinion at all throughout the process.
I fear 30 seconds may have been too short of a time.
Well, we go to a minute for the next question for everyone.
A minute for the next question. You'll have 30 seconds for this one. Go ahead.
That's precisely the reason why we have the elections committee, so that there is other people to bounce ideas off of and double check your work. Right, like the chief electoral officer has final decision-making authority on a couple of items, but obviously, right, at that candidates meeting, right at the start of election period, when we know, okay, these are the people running, that's when we go through, all right, what are the conflicts of interest, who knows who, let ERB know if there's something and get proper approvals, and obviously step down if there's something too close. That's why we have a deputy speaker and all these other positions to step up where needed.
So, in the elections committee, there's obviously the different roles. Those roles have decided what conflicts of interest are, such as FC, directors, and such. In the elections committee, there are also directors who may run for one of the positions. That has to be taken into account. Obviously, if the director is on the elections committee, they must be taken out and replaced with someone new, preferably part of their team that knows what's happening. And it's important, like past people have said, everyone knows each other. Conflicts of interest happen. You gotta deal with that as soon as you can.
Thank you very much. Thank you, candidates, for your appreciation of my 30 seconds. We'll move into 1 minute for serious questions and less than that for any silly questions that may come up later. Yes, question of the
As speaker, as speaker, sometimes during council debates can get pretty heated. How would you go about managing sort of a neutral voice in this?
For sure. We're going to start with Lucas, and then we'll move backwards in the order.
Can we do 1 minute?
Or forward in the order. Yes, you'll have 1 minute. I'll let you know at 10 seconds still.
Okay.
You're so sorry. Yeah, whenever you start.
Okay. Yeah, so it gets heated. We're in student politics. We all know each other, but we care about the society. We have a responsibility to the people that elect us on this council to be speaking up and to make sure that there's accountability. That's where most of these debates can get heated, is when there's two different sides of what that should look like. It's very important that we're keeping in mind that we're debating the policy, not the person, and that starts with the leadership that the speaker has, making sure that everybody's directing their comments to them, that we're using proper titles and last names. We're not calling it just inflation or whatever the conservatives got in trouble for. And yeah, it's important that we have someone at the front of the room that's responsible for that leadership. As speaker, I'm looking forward to a role that I can be actually neutral and not be somebody who's voting, because that does get exhausting after 2 years. And yeah, I like being in that leadership role. I've been chair of a couple committees. It's good to just be that constant, steady voice and remain calm when everybody else might not be.
So when there's heated arguments in council, oftentimes the arguments are usually circular, as you've probably seen, including today. As speaker, it would really be my job to make sure that those discussions don't keep going around in circles, making it aware making sure that if someone has a good point, that they can want to propose an amendment to a motion, make sure that it can be seen as friendly. That way, we can just keep moving along. We can really pass what we really want to pass. Like Senator Baylock has said, it is not against the person, it's against the motion. We're not debating each other, we're debating the motion.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, as they've said, the role of the speaker is to be a neutral head of the council and to never express a personal opinion, as well as to ground members of the council and to bring everyone back to remembering, like, hey, we're all students here. We absolutely cannot be rude to each other at all, and we cannot just go in circles. We cannot argue like that. That's not productive. So it's the role of the speaker to present a firm hand and just stop that as it starts in the council before any real interpersonal problems can arise.
Any further questions? Yes, go ahead.
Why do you want this position? Like, what motivated you to apply for that? For both, whether the speaker or chief electoral officer.
I'll start with Sam and move backwards.
So last year as actually deputy returning officer, I really got to see the inside, as a first year, I really got to see the inside of the Engineering Society. And I really appreciated how well we run together. I went to a lot of councils, and even though I wasn't necessarily supposed to, just as a member at large, I really got to see how much I appreciated how we work together to pass stuff and make just our experience at university better. And I really like the elections part of it as deputy returning officer, and being able to help people and see the neutral parties. And like speaker and governance side is really like a niche type of thing, and it's really something that really attracts me.
Tonight is my first time attending a council. I came here with absolutely no intention of running for speaker or the head electoral officer, I believe was the title. It's been really interesting to watch how council has proceeded and how Maddie in particular as speaker has led the room. And I think it would be interesting for me, even if I don't get elected, to look more into how the Engineering Society works here and witness more of this sort of stuff.
I've been around a while, but obviously I like my procedure and governance. But that being said, I also enjoy the neutrality side and the governance side of just keeping council moving. Like I said, I've now been a voting member of council for 2 years. It's fun. I've enjoyed going back and forth with many of the execs that are still in this room, past, present, and future. But that being said, I want to look to what's next. So I want to help keep council moving. Connor and Maddie and Kaya before, the two of them, we're really good at keeping it moving and keeping the rules in force and keeping things going through all the little procedural things. I know I bring a lot up, but that's important so that things don't get overturned later. We don't have issues later. It's important that we deal with it right there and then. And that's something that I really want to bring to the role, is adding that procedural stuff before council, so we don't have to go back and forth during council.
Thank you. For sure. I've got a couple more people on my list, and that's going to be the end of the questions because that's going to take a while. The next on my list is Mo.
Matthew, the speaker, speaks a lot at council. What would you say your top vocal warm-up or enunciation exercise is?
I'm going to give this 30 seconds, and I think we're going to start with Emerson. Yeah? Okay.
I like reciting Fibonacci numbers, or just like because it's also like a brain exercise, because I don't have them memorized. I have to stand there and do the math.
Correct.
Would we like a demonstration? Absolutely. Okay, yeah. 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21. This is where I have to start doing math. 34, 55, 89. Was this where it gets into the double numbers?
Okay, that's fine.
definition of computer architecture is a set of instructional elements and the hardware designed to execute them. Guys, I got a D- in for the profs in the room. Be afraid of 274. You'll be fine. Just be afraid.
Order for council, please. Don't make me bang the gavel.
Since fourth grade, I've memorized the phrase, how much wood could woodchuck chuck for woodchuck could chuck wood. I've memorized that. I don't know why. Don't know how. I just did.
Thank you very much. In case anyone was wondering, I have a full 10-minute vocal warm-up. I do anyway. The next on my list is
Oh, yes, okay. So, speaker. Oh boy. Connor Bose, the ERB chair. That hasn't happened to me in a long time.
It's common for people your age.
Alright.
Let's keep it moving.
Alright, sorry. Speaker's a very public role. And I would say in my time as speaker, and I'm sure Maddie can also say in their time as theirs, that you tend to make mistakes, and they are very public mistakes when you do make them, if you are making them at council. I've made plenty of them. I want each candidate to talk about how they can handle, or how they feel with handling making mistakes in front of especially an audience, and how they might move forward with that and continue keeping council moving.
I think we're going to start with Lucas.
Yeah. Yeah, mistakes happen a lot. As it's been referenced, I'm a referee. My ACOP number is E2D4794. But yeah, it's important that we come over, we admit them, no matter what team is on the bench, but also at council, it's important that as speaker, I go, hey, I made the mistake, society officer, video, let's rectify this, make sure that we know moving forward, this is the decision that was supposed to be made, so if we have to come back to something that was made 5 years ago, which has happened, it was there, it's in the record, we know what happened, and we move forward. I may make mistakes, as well as chief electoral officer, I may be the one correcting mistakes or potentially punishing people for making mistakes. It's important that I keep that in mind and recognize those mistakes and treat it as they are to move a way forward that's best respectful of our policies and best respectful of the people that may have made the mistakes and just want to learn from them.
So, as every human does, people make mistakes. I know I make a lot of mistakes. One thing about me that I feel like is great is that I can take criticism. You tell me what's wrong, I can actually see what's wrong with what I did and try to rectify it not only now but also in the future. That way, like Senator Baylock said, we can go back 5 years in the future or past and see what happened and try to rectify it and make sure that's going to be consistent for the rest of the term and the rest of the years and stuff.
Yeah, I've made mistakes. I fully anticipate that in any role I ever hold, I will make mistakes, and I think the most important part of that is owning up to it immediately. So as speaker, that would be to the council, that would be to the record, and that would be to the director of governance. The next step there would be going and looking at the implications of whatever mistake I made and figuring out how to rectify anything that may have happened. And then it's all about learning from it and breaking down, how did this happen? How can I never do this again so that way I can make new and more interesting mistakes?
Thank you very much. Next on my list is Claudia Clausic.
Yay! Claudia Clausic, Director of Governance. This happened last year and it was fun. So you, as speaker, you have to read out the agenda, and it might be things that are maybe hard to pronounce. So I would like you each to read out a tongue twister.
Here goes my
I'm gonna put it in this blank box. But it's Swedish, and it's nice and big. And I don't want to put it out.
Yeah, maybe bring the screen down.
Yeah. I'm gonna have limited time to read it. So
look over there.
Have each candidate turn one by one.
Oh, but then they're going to hear it.
Have 3 different ones.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. This is one. I actually have 2 more.
So we got sent you a list. I had ready.
You can do them all again. I'll do all of them again. Okay. All right. I don't know who was first. Who's turn? Sam?
Yeah, I think it's my turn. Yeah.
Okay. You're not timed for this one, but you can't go back and try again. Okay. All right. Whenever you're ready.
If you must cross a course cross cow across a crowded cow crossing, cross the cross horse cow across the crowded cow crossing carefully.
We're now bringing up the segment of the tongue twisters. All right, whoever is our candidate, go ahead.
Brisk, brave brigadiers, brandished broad, bright blades, blunderbusses, and bludgeons, balancing them badly.
Luke Stuck likes lakes. Luke Luck licks slates. Luke Stuck licks slates. Duck takes licks in lakes. Luke Luck likes.
If you must cross a horse-cross cow across a crowded cow crossing, cross the cross horse cow across the crowded cow crossing carefully. Brisk brave grenadiers brandish broad, bright blades, blunderbusses and bludgeons, balancing them badly. Luke Stuck likes lakes. Luke Luck licks lakes. Luke Stuck licks lakes. Duck takes licks and lakes. Luke Luck likes. Thank you very much for those very wonderful tongue twisters. We will now move into our final question from Mercy.
Kaz Mercy, Income Director of Governance. My question's actually already been asked, so I will listen.
All right, never mind then. Since we've had a couple questions cut out, does anyone have any? Let's clap them back in.
I would like to thank everyone on council. I've had a great first council meeting. Exactly what the speaker does now.
It's a really good finish.
All right. I'm actually going to have a transition manual ready.
Yeah, I haven't mentioned this, but for the conflict of interest thing, I do live with Maddie. That's why I'm here.
This is true.
Maddie's
I'm going to mention it, but that is
come to council.
All right. Very nice. Okay, so that was the first part of the debate. Does anyone have any further debate on motion 14 before we move into the reading and passing of the motion? Seeing none, is there a closing from either of our movers? All right. Motion 14. Whereas Maddie's a great speaker, and whereas but she can't do it forever, be it resolved that Council elects Emerson Curie as the council for the 2025-2026 council. Council leader, I can. Oh, Is there any abstentions? Would you like that noted in the minutes?
I just felt like that's what I was supposed to do.
Would you like that noted? All right, motion 14 passes. We're not done. We got motion 15, which is at the top. Oh, you moved it down. That's smart. All right. Sorry. All right, motion 15. Whereas the current directors have been around for a while, and whereas it's time for some change, be resolved that the following be ratified by the annual general meeting for their respective positions. Stephanie Leach as Director First Year, William Halakak, Director of Design, Stella Sherman, Director of Communications, Tyler John, Director of Equity and Advocacy, Madeline Provo, Director of Human Rights, Owen Kazimirski, Director of Governance. It's your own title. What? Your own. Human Resources. Did I say governance? No, you said human rights. That's right. I mean, those are also important. Okay. Madeline Provo, Director of Human Resources. Owen Kazimirski, Director of Governance. Pam Green, Director of Crossing Conferences. Gabriella Steiner, Director of External Relations. Kate Ellis, Director of Academics. Michaela Madden, Director of Professional Development. Noah Deschner-Kretz, Director of Finance. Zachary Gale, Director of Retail Services. Ella Doris, Director of Educational Services. Adrian Cornwell, Director of Internal Processes. Sage Polywoda. I wrote my notes for them. Yep, Polywoda. I tried. Director of Student Life, and Blake Condon, Director of Information Technology. Moved by Jordan Durek-Belinsky, seconded by Alexis Uri, Paredes, thirded by Jacob Harley Esdale, additionally moved by Ian Noah Schaefer. Is there an opening from any of our members?
Yeah, new directors. For the outgoing directors, I hope this is not my feelings, but it's your old thing. It's not personal. It's all an amazing job, but we hired 16 more people that we also want to have a job
Thank you for that opening. Is there any debate on the motion? Yeah.
Connor Rosie, ERB Chair. Before we call the directors down for all the questions that council has for them, I'd like to request that council remove speaker access to Speaker Provo and replace them with Deputy Speaker Naylor, please.
This is a procedural motion. Can we see a second?
No, we don't need a second.
We'll vote now on my removal. Can I see votes for removing me as speaker? Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Can I see votes against removing me as speaker? Are there any abstentions? Would you like that noted? No. No? Okay. I'm out. Take it away.
All right. Hi, I'm Lucas. I'm Deputy Speaker. Can the 16 people with their names on the screen please come to the front of the room? We have questions.
Okay, so I think you would have it even if you don't talk about
Okay, be it resolved that the currently sitting speaker is directing that Tanner's Lower be summoned at next council's. Yeah, I know. But yeah, I think Tanner should at least get to ask his lower question if he's not going to show up. All right. So this is what is it?
Point of information.
President and Demarace, yes.
Yes, Metro VC President, should we read the motion to extend council first?
In 3 minutes, yes, that's a good point, yeah, we should do that. Okay, I see the motion by President Demray, seconded by VP Kelly, all for the motion of extending council by at least half an hour.
You guys can
Actually,
vote.
don't need to do this
Thanks.
Started council?
Yeah, no, but we have to do it. Yeah.
Will we start council?
Okay, it passes.
Matt, you're not speaker.
Anyway, okay, this is formally speaking council's way of double checking the work of the incoming executive to make sure that the 16 directors are capable and able to take on their roles, and we have faith in their leadership to lead our society and carry out council's directive. So I would like to ask that if you have some of the more serious questions, that we can start with those, and then I suspect that there are some shenanigans, council acceptable shenanigans that we can ask later. Director Ward, I saw your fire first.
Tanner Ward, Director of Design. I mean, if the incoming Director of Design is not present to be sworn in, what happens?
Nothing, because we can't swear them in. So we are just approving them. If you would like to motion or remove them from the list and table it until next council, that is an option available. I think I understand the procedure enough to do that.
I'll give them a pass this time.
Okay. ERB Chair, Bozy.
Thank you. Connor Bozzi, ERB Chair. The classic starting question for all the new directors is, I want 3 words about what you're most excited for in each of your respective portfolios.
Okay, starting at that end, going this way. Well, the person before you stops, you go.
Tea room gift card.
Make money moves. Turn off on.
I didn't think about enough. Growth in services.
Automation.
Digest from,
Services are servicing.
Fed fund edits.
Events, parties, and fun. Lots, community engagement.
Cleaner election operations.
Order, please.
Hit the club.
Pop the bubble.
Quit internship hopefully.
Work with everybody.
President Whitwam, I have you next.
So directors are pretty
President
Michael Whitwam, 97 president. A directorship takes a lot of work. I just want to make sure everyone actually has a passion for what they're doing and won't give up halfway through. So in one sentence, you could describe why you have a passion for your role, or why you want your role, or why you think you're good for your role. In one sentence, though.
Starting at this end.
Life sucks sometimes, we can change that.
Oh, there's not like a max words. Like, you can do
Life sucks sometimes, and as a society who works together and has lots of members, we can work to change that and make it better for everyone.
I like meeting new people and getting to hear about people's stories and just connecting with people. So, yeah, networking.
I think that for HR it's really important that everyone feels that they have a place in society, because the society is meant for everybody, and I want everyone to feel supported to apply for as many roles as possible and to realize that there's opportunities for everyone and that there's something for everyone here for everyone.
I love working with people, and I think that club and conferences make up a big part of student life here, and I think it's really important that making people want to stay strong, smart, and big.
To be honest, I'm like a humanities major, masquerading as an engineer. So I don't have enough time to work with things that surround governance and humanities. So I love this stuff, and it's just kind of a passion project on the side.
I'm very passionate about the community, but also representing NSHOC. I love learning about what NSHOC does at other schools, and just being at a conference kind of opened my eyes to that. And I'm excited to get to represent NSHOC to the other schools and also to the Kingston community.
I feel like there's just a lot of events that a lot of people don't know about, and I want to get more people involved because a lot of engineers kind of do only school, so I want to get involved with more fun things.
Branching off that point, doing only school, it's important to have
these resources for academics that are available, that they're marketed, that people are aware of them in the student body. Because for first year, for me, I wasn't aware of a lot of the different resources, and I kind of struggled a bit academically. I'm better now, thankfully, but I want to make sure that I prioritize that in my role.
I personally love the retail services within the engineering society, and I hope to contribute in any way possible and hopefully make them as good as they can be.
I'm pretty open about the fact that before I came to Queens, I was smacked down on the hotel bed telling my parents they were abandoning me. And I think I would like to make a little bit of a smoother transition for anyone else. Sophia's done a great job, notice, but improve the smoothness of the transition.
I love working in the back end to make everybody else's lives easier, and I want to turn the lounge into a lounge, not an office.
I think we're all here as students first, so one of the things that's really cool about what NSHOC does is the educational services that are there to help support us, so I just want to make sure that those are operating smoothly so everyone's doing well and all of their things.
I love computers, IT, software development, and I want to work on the website.
Having previously had like an inside eye on some of the operations of the society, the finances were a pretty like large weakness that can use improvement. So I was really just excited to jump into an area where I could like kind of improve how I would like to.
NSHOC and the people that I've met in NSHOC have had a really big impact on my life, and this wouldn't have happened if I wasn't like aimlessly scrolling through Breezy and saw videography general member positions on there. So I want to make sure that we're marketing all of our opportunities in the society and letting students know what is available so that they can get involved and indulge in their passions here.
Wonderful. BC Rep Burr? Yeah, I know last name.
Making a very ECU rep. As a director, and as I've previously, yay. But as a director, I know that sometimes people can get really upset at you and borderline hate you. How do you deal with people being really upset with you? And how are you going to make sure that you can continue to do your job well and listen to advice and not make it personal, as we talked about like procedural things, and like take criticism, but also try not to get too many of the people that are, saying nasty things like into your brain, because it can be a lot sometimes, and not that there was a lot of IP, I'm just saying for a lot of other roles, but you're looking to deal with things that's a little rough sometimes, but everything else is great. So yeah, that's my big question for you. How are you going to deal with those conflicts that come up, and are you ready to deal with them?
Alright, we do have a lot of people, so try to keep it to like 30 seconds or less, but also express yourself and feel free to agree with your previous directors. We're going to start at that end.
A lot of my friends can know I can be a bit of a hater sometimes, but I don't want to actually, in a professional setting like this, I don't want to actually have conflicts with people. If I'm aware that there is someone maybe not agreeing with decisions I'm making or how I've been running a position, I can be very confrontational, like in a respectful way. I'd want to have a conversation with that person. I wouldn't want like that strained relationship having an impact on the rest of the director team. So I would kind of just go into that situation head on, like nip it in the bud, talk to that person, because I wouldn't want that just marinating throughout the whole year and then it just causes a bunch of issues.
Yeah, similar to what Stella said. When there's a conflict where you know that there could be a conflict, I'm just addressing it right away, having a clear point, having like evidence of there being an issue, and going into any situation with the intention of addressing it is really important to me.
I would agree. Like, when you're in a you're in a conversation with someone, sometimes, well, often there's a root cause or there's a reason that like they're upset with you, and like investigating that is like as far as you can go to try to see if there's something you can actually do to fix that is important.
Yeah, I've worked a lot of like retail jobs in my time, so I'm very familiar with people being not pleased with me. I think just being able to separate it from like personal versus what they're looking for, and then just treating them with kindness even when they're not treating you the same way.
In the interest of not repeating what everybody else has said and is going to say, I'm just a chill guy.
Low-key anxiety meds help a lot. 10 out of 10 recommend. Also, just separating your actions as a director from your view as a person.
I would say that in life it's natural to not be liked by everyone, and those are some things that you just have to deal with. And
as I like to say, such is life. Live, laugh, love, move on.
Also worked to retail jobs, like customer service jobs. Right now I'm working as a switchboard operator for the university, so I've been like personally insulted by like random old people on the phone. And like my philosophy on it is like the way that people treat you shouldn't have any effect on the treatment that you give out to others. So that's
Just leaving it like where the work ends and like not bring it into your personal life, and just also like take a step back and like asking for help if they do want to give their opinion, like, hey, do you want to like help me with this? So.
I think I would have to try really hard not to cry first and like take it too personally, but I think it's really important to kind of take everything as constructive criticism and just making sure that if it's not something that's like, directly attacking you, that it's something that you can maybe grow for in the future.
I think it really much depends on the person. The majority of the conflicts I foresee are kind of resolved and contained in bylaws, so I really have a nice reference to that. But if it's a personal matter, it's a personal matter. That's resolved through me and them personally.
I worked food service during COVID, so I've been through war. I've had the police called on me, but I've just learned to not take anything too personal, be pretty nonchalant, and if I get too nonchalant, I'll just take some extra content for other things. But yeah, just like people are gonna be visual, and you're just gonna have to deal with it, but be kind.
I think for me the biggest part of dealing with conflict is taking a step back and thinking about whether what the person has said is coming from a place of genuineness or whether it's coming from a place of their own issues, and then evaluating that in my own time and figuring out what it is that I can do to be a better person. Because sometimes it's someone who's not communicating with you properly who has a real fixable issue, and sometimes it's someone having a bad day. So learning the difference between that and then taking all criticism with an open mind, but not always with an open heart.
So when I deal with conflict, I just like to make sure like open, honest communication to see where I could have went wrong. And honestly, at the end of the day, NSHOC isn't your entire life. You should be able to separate from your own life and not take it too personal. But just keeping on, like I agree with what everyone said, but about that. So yeah.
Because all of these people have had amazing, wonderful answers, rely on your team. When things get too rough, ask for help. Work with all of the people who are also huge.
Wonderful. Okay, we've definitely hit our quota of good questions. I have Psi 25 Faculty Board Rep Thurston next.
Can I ask one more serious question, or we're just moving on to
Your choice. You run the queue, so.
Sophia Thurston, Psi 25 Faculty Board Rep. Our engineering society is huge. It takes a lot of manpower to do what we do. How do you plan to increase engagement in each of your portfolios?
Perfect.
You're welcome, Maddie.
So, obviously it's been talked about a lot and through a lot of different people, but we want to try and market as best as we can and make different roles, even though they sound pretty scary at first, more enticing and really allow students to understand that like anyone can do these different positions, but they just need to put in work and time for it, and they need to be actually committed to doing so. Trying to get more engagement just through working with FC and then through the rest of the different portfolios is probably the best way to start.
Specifically when it comes to PD, a lot of people who know about our services are people who are already quite involved in NSHOC. So for engagement, what we want to do is like kind of go through the first years who don't know anything, who haven't been involved at all, so don't have any like creating biases or anything like that, and try to hit them there for engagement because then they set up NSHOC for the future.
I'm going to say something a bit controversial. I think that hiring fairs are great, engagement is great, communication is great. I think what's important is realizing the difference between when someone doesn't know about an NSHOC position and when someone doesn't want an NSHOC position. If we're throwing a lot of NSHOC positions, we're all hiring right now, literally every single person, and you can be really overwhelmed by that. So figuring out how to target what we're going to present to people so that we're not just calling it engagement by throwing everything at everyone all the time, figuring out what is going to appeal to people and how we can reach them best.
I think definitely just advertising your roles to all different types of people, putting up posters, telling your friends to tell their friends, and trying to really not just get a singular type of person, but draw from all different types of crowds. I know for clubbing conflicts, there's like so many different people are in them, and I think that's really great. And so really just expanding on that. And add on to that, QEC director positions are open right now. So, choose a
Currently, we're behind at least 5 major Canadian engineering schools in terms of their engagements within their body elections. And so I'd like to at least get us to 3rd place, if not higher, amongst the major Canadian engineering schools.
Yeah, I think it's important to kind of make sure to broadcast everything on like the Engineering Society account, even just on the story. I think as a first year, it was really overwhelming to see how many accounts there were, and like it was really hard to find where to find certain things. And not to diss on Ethan, but I didn't hear about like a single conference until like the last day of the one that I applied to. So just making sure that's kind of really out there.
We are running late.
Just catering to the people we think like our audience, like knowing our audience is a good idea. Because if you're like kind of directing a position at people who you kind of know aren't going to want that position, it just kind of makes a waste of time.
I think definitely improvements for marketing. The MedFund account only has 500 followers on Instagram. You have to consider that a lot of people may not have an Instagram account, and most marketing does occur on that app. So I think that having in-person marketing events would be very beneficial to increase our breadth of people actually hearing about the MedFund specifically, just because it is a bit of a smaller group that not as many people know about. I consistently will ask people, hey, do you know what the MedFund is? They're like, oh, I've heard of it, but not exactly. So kind of making it so that the student body knows what it is. And then also for idea generation events and academic feedback forms, usually for those events we'll do like an idea for a tidbit, but then we just get a lot of joke ideas and a lot of throwaways that have no actual effect. So maybe improving those processes that we're actually getting effective ideas from these events.
I would say, ensuring effective marketing of the particular service or the particular position is very important. And it's also important to make sure that everyone knows that there's a position out there for every single individual and every single personality. You will find something that fits you, and it's just a matter of finding out what that is, and that comes from effective information dissemination.
To go off of what Sage said, just kind of meeting people where they're at. Michaela and I were able to go to some CALS lectures today and chat with people. So yeah, just expanding advertising beyond just online things, I think, making it accessible to everyone.
I think one of the great resources sort of in my portfolio is the lounge, and so implementing more events or initiatives or incentives to get people through the door and talking to whoever may be on office hour, whoever is in there who's already super involved as a jumping off point to reach further within the society.
Obviously, like the classic marketing to different audiences that you know will be interested in things, and I'd say also knowing your portfolio's strengths and weaknesses, so you can highlight the strength and try to like fix some of the weaknesses that you see there.
I think leveraging our existing marketing tools and then revisiting some. Like I mentioned earlier, I want to revamp the website. And like actually each new marketing tool, not everybody needs an Instagram account to go on the website. So yeah,
Real. I think in my portfolio specifically, a lot of it comes to like being open, being friendly, and being understanding of the people that I'm dealing with, and just like transparency is also huge.
Well, a lot of the directors have talked about marketing, and that's like my whole shebang. So I guess trying to encourage not just like the directors, but the directors to maybe encourage their managers to utilize the communications team resources. We have our marketing team, our photography team, videography team. These can be really important, especially getting your marketing done ahead of time and then having it out for maybe longer than like a couple of weeks would be very beneficial. I definitely want to do more stuff with the website, just so we have a huge directory for all these resources, and not only that, but making it very clear where to find these resources. I know I want to work with Maddie on the NSOC rotation during O Week to make sure that the incoming students know that if they want to get involved, how to get involved and where to look for it.
My apologies, I just realized that I missed it. All right. Here we go.
I have the pronunciation.
Yeah, thanks. I saw. Oh, there's a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Point of order, do we get to close it?
Oh, yes, sorry, yes, that happened before we, yeah. From movers, yes.
Congrats, guys. Ian Schaefer, Vice President of Finance and Administration, elect current Director of Internal Processes. Congrats, guys. We're super pumped to work with you over the next year. Sorry we grilled you a little bit there, but it'll be super fun and we can't wait.
All right. Any other closing? Yes,
President-elect, I will serve the office.
That is all right, motion 15, whereas the current directors have been around a while, and whereas it's time for change. Be it resolved that the following be ratified by the annual general meeting for the respective positions. Apologies. Stephanie Leach, Director, first year. William Palka? Director of Design. Stella Sherman, Director of Communications. Khaled Rajan, Director of Equity and Advocacy. Madeline Provost, Director of Human Resources. Owen Kazmierski, Director of Governance. Ping Green, maybe? Did I get that? Perfect. Director of Clubs and Conferences. Gabriella Steiner? Guys, I should have been tested a long time ago, I'm sorry. Director of External Relations. Paige Ellis, Director of Academics. Michaela Matisse, Director of Professional Development. Noah Dosher-Fretz, Director of Finance. Zachary Gill, Director of Retail Services. Ella Doris, Director of Educational Services. Adrian Cornwell, Director of Internal Processes. Sage Poliwada. Yeah, sorry, I said slow, too slow. Director of Student Life. Blake Conan. What? Conan. Oh, yeah. Director of Information Technology. Moved by Jordan Valensky, seconded by Alexis Third mover, Jacob Esdale. Fourth mover, Ian Schaefer. All 4 votes for my poorly read motion. Oh yeah. All right, placards down, please. Any votes against? Any abstentions? Would you like that note in the minutes? 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 No abstentions, wanted note in the minutes. Wonderful. All right, motion passes. Okay, given that this is the last time I get to be Deputy Speaker, thank you for putting up with me this year. I will now take a procedural motion to take me back out of the chair. Second. And moved by Ian Schaefer, seconded by Bennett Damaris. All those in favor, put Bounty back in the chair. Thought as much.
Okay. So, all right. Thanks, guys. That was fun. Couple things. Number 1, this is the end of new business. We're going to move into reports. However, this is when you generally take a break. Step 1, do we want a break? Step 2, even if we don't want a break, we have to extend council. Does anyone desperately want a break, or shall we just get through the reports? All right, bet. Let's do it. We have to extend council for another half hour. It's been over a half hour. Moved by Sophia, seconded by Connor. Can I see votes for the motion to extend council for half an hour, please? Thank you so much. Can I see votes against the motion? Any abstentions? Yeah. All right, let's go. Executive, talk to us. What's up?
All right, Jack, quack, Walker, President. Over the last 2 weeks, it's been a lot of sort of miscellaneous stuff, prepping, transitional stuff, and stuff together for AGM, as well as like Quessy board, CSART, ad board, etc. I've been working a lot with Eris, as it's been event form time for O weeks. That's kind of the first round of approvals for all the O week events. As well, of course, all of the site formal prep, lots of kind of back-end stuff dealing with like safety, liability, whatever for the build. Full credit to the site formal team. They're working their butts off to make this happen, as well as shout out to all our people who are volunteering with takedown, hopefully the directors, partially. But yeah, just lots of kind of miscellaneous stuff, and then transition work with Jordan. Bunch of also one-off meetings. Had a discussion with the AMS for the fee structure and renewability of our fees. We did awards committee with Chloe, shout out, and with Owen. Hired a new ERB chair. We hired a couple more semi-formal chairs. We're still missing construction and communications. If you're going to be around next year and in your 4th or 5th year and you want to be the construction or communication chair, let me know. And I had a discussion with Sarah Kaufman about what we're doing with unspent Fed fund income, which was a pretty discussion. Most of my directors are starting to wind down for the year. Ethan still has Fix and Clean. Well, actually no. Yes, this weekend. Fix and Clean this weekend. CEC is also, I believe, this weekend. No? No, CEC happened. Sorry, I'm getting my.
I don't know, after. Next
okay,
week.
CEC still to happen, yes. Funding situation has been resolved. Lots of DSC banquets coming up, so those are kind of the bigger thing on Monica's plate right now. DOFI events, the main event is the semi-formal upcoming, and there's no major PD events upcoming. Over the next 2 weeks, I'm planning on getting, well, kind of 3 weeks, I'm getting the rest of the ERB hired, helping move things along with the AMS event sanctioning forums, because everyone's hosting events right now. CEC logistics stuff if needed, closing Purple Night and selecting who's getting that with the rest of the executive. And then hopefully doing some policy work with a few of my directors to update a few things, particularly with the Director of Externals, because some of their policy has not been looked at in a while. Hopefully get the rest of the formal hired. We're going to be opening it up to current students because the whole point of hiring people who are in Kingston now is taking on the semi-formal and that's what sale. So if you're somehow watching this from Quip, you're going to be eligible to run for that as well. And then finishing the portions of my transition manual that were dependent on other things happening at the university, like AGM and AMS and stuff. One other note that I wanted to add in my discussion section after.
Ben, council. Jason's from German, so, part of this in German. What have I been for the last 2 weeks? For the last 2 weeks, my pod 9 has mostly focused on day-to-day operations, transition, and finishing projects before the year end. During meeting with my directors, my managers, and I, we all took a break, with the exception of completing a couple of miscellaneous tasks like training and emails. The week prior to meeting week, my directors and I continued to work with the delivery team to advertise and open service manager applications. We also maintain day-to-day operations, and my directors working with their managers as per usual. We've all been working on transitioning our lowers and specifically training them for hiring, which took place this past weekend, and will be taking place not this weekend, but the weekend after. And then I've also been working on my Future Promise project, which is very poorly named the EDF project. It's almost complete. I actually did not make that connection, but I'm just waiting on the bookkeepers to respond to my emails and one of the changes requested, but it should be done soon. Yay! It is currently one of the bookkeepers' busier seasons, so their response is expected. Educational services, Charlie and I attended AdWords Monday night. Kennedy, Charlie, and I continue to work with all the issues of emergency services and ensure that they are on track to complete successfully. Ian, Adrian, and I have been reviewing plans for banquet and ensuring the class study has been completed or will be completed in time for the deadline. I also attended a work thing on the weekend, and the exec and I have been dealing with some issues that needed our attention over the last week and supporting jobs. What I will do for the next 2 weeks, I will be, myself and my pod will be transitioning our lowers, putting out services flyers, and finalizing interview appreciation of the managers. Ian, Avery, and I will be working on banquet, and I will hopefully finish my duties on project and ensuring all the finances are on track for your end. Good enough. And this is
No.
Okay, so this is a table that Jacob Asdale sent me, and the final row says I can't get rid of the row in this table.
2 L's.
I also spell Ellador, it says Ella's.
Yeah. There's 2 of me.
So Microsoft 360 for dummies by Lily or Jacob. I swear he'll be proficient in Excel and Microsoft 365 soon. If not, I don't know, teach him. Maybe don't, but it's up to you guys.
Point of information he's taking the LinkedIn course right now, so it should be pretty good.
Point of personal beverage.
Right. Okay. Hello. Mokeli, VPSA. Yeah, so recently been doing a lot of similar stuff with just meetings with my directors as well as my FIPCO. We're working a lot on just what's been going on in the year. Of course, some stuff's coming to a close, but there's been a lot of fun events either happening or are upcoming.
But recently, yeah, I was able to sit on some of the ERB chair hiring as well as the side formal chair hiring. A lot of transition with Alexis, and she's going to do amazing. So a lot of great information passed on there and her sitting into meetings. Yep, Alexis came to AMS Assembly too, which was super awesome, and it was like a super short AMS Assembly, which was a nice little intro one. Yeah, Tara and I had some meetings with the prospective groups that you saw earlier today present. Yeah, for us, a lot of external meetings, dealing with some stuff that's just come and gone, of just small miscellaneous issues, sitting in on awards committee, a lot of mail jet recently, more than the average, and still paying for a lot of pizza, which, just the huge. Upcoming in the next 2 weeks, same meetings, a lot more events coming up. Some of the stuff to look out for is we have like a room right now for anyone observing Ramadan, a prayer room specifically. We have also some sustainability initiatives under Saf's portfolio. The interception is tomorrow that Maggie's planning, as well as entries coming up in week 11. Keep your eye out for that. Yeah, hiring period, so making sure marketing's getting on there. I'll be sitting in on the exec awards, like AMS ad hoc committee. So it's just sort of a side committee based off who's at AMS Assembly. I like it. Bye-bye. And if you watch All Stars, this is the movie I go to.
Aaron Kyle, Vice President of Finance and Administration. So pretty typical operations these last 2 weeks, working with Adam and Jeff, finishing up lots of affiliate finance and that kind of stuff, typical in-person stuff. Working really hard with Ian to finalize banquet stuff. That's been really well. It's April 6th for those of you who don't know. I feel like we keep saying it. So that's going really well. All the other notable stuff is you're in a hiring trial, which went really well. Thank you all for coming to that. That was really well done. Hopefully that will be the next year. I'm excited that it's going to be had a lot of people. Other double stuff working with Mihir and Evelyn on fixing that website stuff, so that hopefully we won't have any issues with that moving forward, because that was quite the year. Stuff that I'll be doing over the next 2 weeks, similarly kind of finalizing my projects for like the year and getting them hopefully all wrapped up before Ian gets the reins. That's going well. Working on more of a transaction tracker, two very different things. So hopefully that'll be final for next year. Working with Oliver, who's one of the FOs, to kind of do more automations and that kind of stuff for more front-facing BOE stuff. So for the groups, keep your eyes and ears out. That should be fun. Other than that, just transitioning Ian, that's going really well. Super excited for that. Oh, and spent 40 minutes fixing the check machine today, so should work today. So that's all. Thanks, guys. Do you know the Photoshop? Nope. I saw Instagram like 3 years ago. 3 years ago. 2.5.
All right, we're now going to move into the first question. Here we go. Yes, go ahead.
Connor Rosa, ERB Chair. Question for Director of External Relations. As part of going through policy and bylaw, as per what the ERB Chair is supposed to do at every council, I noted that there's supposed to be a presentation presented by the External Communications Committee at AGM surrounding the Engineering Society's membership in both CFIS and ESCO, and whether or not that's been worthwhile this year, whether or not it's worked out. And considering we did not see that presentation today, and I have not seen a presentation of recent conferences, I was just hoping that the Director of External Relations could speak to when council will be hearing about that kind of stuff.
Director of External Relations, Capel. Yeah, so as Jack mentioned before, there's a few things in the Director of External Relations bylaw that we were looking at changing. One of those being council presentations, including like conference and ESCOM conversations. The way that it is listed by law is after every presentation, or every conference, there's a presentation brought to council about that conference. From being in council, me and Jack myself for around 2 years now, 3 years, we've noticed that most of the time these presentations are they keep people accountable, but the information presented in them is mostly relevant to a lot of people in council. And it was one of the things in council that was wasting more time. So that's one change that we were trying to look at, not eradicating those presentations, but bringing them rather into one larger presentation at the end and maybe beginning of the year. And that's something that me and Jack have been working on, but haven't finalized yet. So I don't know what that was, but it'll probably be something that a motion to change those bylaws is something that's going to be brought to last council.
Yeah, just a point of information as an add-on to this one. I think, for last council, regardless, there will be a summary presentation coming of the various conferences that have happened this semester. I think because of some of the chaos with CEC, just workload-wise, we haven't been able to get one together for each council. So we will have a summary presentation of all of the conferences attended this semester for last council, regardless of those bylaw changes. Just to clarify.
Next on my list is Megan.
My name is EC Rep Asami, been on Edgelot Council for just the 4th AGM I've been through now. Been here a long time, graduated student at Commonwealth. But it's kind of to bring back the point that Connor made before, a decision like this is written directly in bylaw as something that the Engineering Society is supposed to do. It's not individual people's decisions to make about changes that they want to make in the future. It's supposed to be decisions that all of council is supposed to make. And I don't appreciate the trend of this not being followed as council today. And usually I don't try to speak up that much because it's a little stressful for me, but I just really felt like I need everyone to understand that because you shouldn't be not making changes like that. You have to ask us all of our opinions before you decide to make changes like that. Especially because you can't just say, I'm going to change in the future when it's directly written in bylaw that it's something that has to be dealt with now. You know what I mean? It's just not very good for MSO.
Yeah, just as a point of information, I would like to clarify my previous comment. The council presentations are, in practice, generally a joint effort between the president and the director of externals. Strictly speaking, it's an external responsibility, but it's always done by both. I want to clarify my previous comment. The fact that we haven't had them for some conferences for the immediately following council this semester is just been a workload thing. Sometimes stuff doesn't get done. We are working our best on it, but again, not a conscious, we're choosing not to do it because we are hoping to change it. It's that we didn't get to doing it, and as a result of the fact that we didn't have the bandwidth to do it, we're looking at potentially changing how it's done to rectify that problem.
As a direct response, I fully understand that, but AGM is more important. Just as a general thing, AGM is the biggest, most important meeting where everyone can attend, so it's very important for everyone to understand what happened at all of these conferences, so that people who don't know what conferences are and who go here, they are able to understand everything that's happened. And I just wanted to break that up as a big point, because it's important for all of us to understand what's happening.
Thank you for that. If there's further responses, I can add to my list.
Ben Tedderisi, President. This is more of a statement on the same topic.
Sorry, I'm going to pause you right there. This is a question period. You have a statements period later, but if you would still like to go ahead with the question, I'm happy to hear you now. But if you feel if this is something you would like to be said, I'd ask that you hold it back until later.
I will yield that.
Thank you. Is there any further questions for question period 1? All right, we'll move on to the reports. Is there reports from faculty board? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Walker, President. Again, timelines are a little bit, I'm getting hazy on, so correct me if I'm somehow wrong on this, but I think the faculty board has met since the last time.
Correct. Student Education Science Faculty Board Rep. As a quick add-on, they have brought forward.
Oh, I was going to discuss that in the discussion period so people can respond to it.
Oh, okay. We talked about it last time. People had
I do have discipline numbers.
He's got a good point.
I do have
I
some.
just wanted to do it during the discussion
Yeah,
period,
yeah,
people can ask questions.
Yeah, we can do that. I do have some funny discipline numbers that I was told at department meeting now. So for those who don't know, computer is normally like 150. I was only told like ECE related numbers, so this was from ECE department meeting. Computer has like 150-ish, elec has like 70-ish usually. This time comp has 88 and elec is 123.
It's first year.
Yeah, this is from side 2-8 selection. So it's kind of really funny. I just want people to know that because that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. They're not right.
Yeah, they haven't
Thank
given
you
out
very
the
much
numbers.
for the faculty board report. We'll now move on to the AMS report. Go ahead.
Rose Kelly, VP Student Affairs. We met on Monday for a special assembly, and that's all that's been done since the last council. It was a pretty short meeting. There was a discussion on improving their assemblies. There was more just a feedback sort of session. They were also talking about how they're dealing with long times, or just long meeting times. As a note, there will be free food on the Saturday of St. Patrick's Day as a harm reduction sort of initiative by the AMS, so they'll have food trucks around. They had a few other motions for just structural changes within their stuff, and there was also a discussion about the ORT budget. No motion yet, but it was them just showing them. And also, the concert is now in the Campus Affairs Commission for voting.
Thank you very much, AMS report. We'll now hear from the report from Senate.
Jenny Rowe, Change Senator. So Senate met and on February 27th, it was a very quick meeting. It didn't last very long, so not many things happened. There was a question about accommodations, and I thought it was worth bringing it up. A while ago, there was a review done on how the accommodations run, and people were just curious to know if that group that was then later formed based on that recommendation was able to change and make policies, and if it's not able to, it is only there to review the review that was done, and to then bring forward potential thoughts that they have. And then as well, another question that was brought up is regarding the faculty of comp sci, I believe, raised concerns about a new security update that is being implemented by Queens, because it makes faculty have to download on their devices, and it potentially not listens, but it potentially looks at some of your information. So there was a document brought forward just to explain what privacy it's able to look into as much as it's not able to look into. It was a very quick meeting though, so not much else to say on it. If Lucas has other things to add on to that.
Yeah, Lucas Baylock, Engineering Center. I just wanted to take a moment to thank everybody for participating in the conversation. Based on the presentation I had at last council, that was extremely insightful. I just had a meeting with the board chair right before this. I was able to bring a lot of those concerns right to him, which was good. And Senator Bro and I are looking forward to bringing our view for the future of Queens to the board and the rest of the Senate this weekend, which we'll be reporting on when we get back.
Thank you, Senator. We'll now hear from the ERB.
Connor Rosie, ERB Chair. My report is in the appendices. Thank you, Chloe. New template for the ERB report. It's starting to become a little more professional. Terms wrapping up. ERB's been working on a lot of projects. We want to make sure that all of the stuff we've been doing is kind of ready to go for the next team. We had to deal with a couple of internal things, but we seem to be good now. We've had a lot of discussions about confidentiality and how to enforce it when there's a breach and where to go from there. ERB doesn't really have a position on that yet, not because we all disagree, but more because it's a difficult topic and we don't know where we're looking at yet. Documents from the drive are being updated for organizing and cleaning up for the incoming ERB chair. Procedures are being good to go, and I've made a bunch of templates for them to make things super simple for next year. Speaking of the ERB chair, congratulations to my Laura Kate. She's not here, she's on internship. We're having her first transition meeting on Tuesday. The manual began work as of Friday night. It's about 35% done. It should be more done than the speaker manual by the time it gets to Kate. I do apologize that once again to Maddie. Trying to keep the manual as friendly as possible for widespread use by all members of the ERB, not just the chair. I'm really trying to have it as much as it's supposed to be used by the chair for understanding their role. I kind of want it to be a primer to the ERB for anybody that is not the chair as well. And a lot of the framework that was set up by Jeevan's team last year and my team this year, we want to make sure that we can transition the new chair properly so that the framework can continue to function and it doesn't all fall apart and we lose our ERB again. A couple of reminders from the ERB. Reminder for all directors that transition manuals are due tomorrow to Avery and I. If it has not gone to either Avery or I, it needs to be in by tomorrow, as per bylaw. Currently, we have manuals from DOEA, DOFY, DORS, DOCC, DOCOMS, DOPD, DOSL, and DOG. If your directorship was not listed, we need your manual. As a reminder for everybody in the room, it's hiring season. If you're unsure at any point about something you wanted to ask, do say something in an interview. It doesn't hurt to ask the ERB. As much as we are here for corrective measures, we also want to be here for prevention. And I'd rather get a million questions from all of you about how to make sure that what you're doing is not going to cause any issues than deal with the issues on the back end. So that's always open there. And I'm sure Maddie would also love to help you on their end as well. In terms of the future development plans, is a lot of like meeting with the having all the SOPs edited and verified within the team for April. Lots of transitioning for the chair and deputy. We want to have a lot of meetings to actually have a solid framework. Any more meetings that I have in my upper would be great, being one. That being one meeting being had, I didn't have any meetings in my upper. He slapped me on the back of players and said, thank you, congratulations. That was it. But yes, the transition manual will hopefully done in the next week and a half, really depending on site formal. I've been putting in a lot of time there. With that being said, excited for one more council undergrads. Thanks so much, council.
Okay. Amazing. Thank you very much, ERB. We will now hear from the advisory board. I don't know if Maya is still here.
It's not your activities report. It's all in the report. Oh, we didn't read the report. We didn't read the report. Okay, the advisory board met, excuse me, the advisory board met on Monday to go over the mid-year reviews of entrance and icons. Everything was good, and we talking about restructuring our board. I think I saw one there.
Panvel Pani Cybersecurity System, white information was final.
We just did
The Monday was final year for accounts.
for entrance.
It was.
We still have more reviews coming. We did some on Monday.
Sounds good. All right. It's club report time. We will first hear from ECE. So from anyone who's not familiar with how the rest of these reports go, everyone who's in the club will say their name, US National ECE. And everyone else will say the code words. For ECE, it's Zach. So.
ECE, Zach.
Good job, guys. Go ahead, ECE.
Nice member, ECE rep. So, everyone who's an ECE, you should go buy your banquet tickets, because banquet is coming on March 27th. It's only $40 and there's no tax and there's no anything. It's just straight $40. And you're gonna get an all-you-can-eat Italian food buffet. I mean, it's gonna be delicious. There is a cash bar, and you can get. If any of you like Vince, he wants to drink with students. It's gonna be a fun time. So you should all go, and it's gonna be a fun time. Yeah, there's a cash bar. And it's.
Can we have order of council, please? Order.
And also, for anyone who's celebrating Ramadan, we also have food available at later times to accommodate for that as well. And go to our website to get your tickets. And also, awards are open for that because there's going to be fun awards, and you get to nominate profs, like if you want to. Anyway. And awards, nominations for the ECE Club, guys, open in week 10, and you should all become. You can't all become my lowers, but as many of you as possible should apply to be in the ECE Club because it's a really fun time.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, ECE. We will now hear from Meg, after which we say gears.
Meg.
Gears.
So we have our banquet coming up next Tuesday. If you haven't got your
One
tickets
person
yet.
left.
Yeah, sure.
Who are you?
What's the matter?
Just say your name.
Jordan Walensky, speaking as a proxy for Microsoft Revenue. I'm also the director. Next week, we're hiring our banquet pharmacy today. Tickets still suspended, haven't got it. So it's a little over $50. There's food there. There's going to be a dance playing live as well, and a lot of our beloved props will be there. So if you can, get all your folks to go. We had a Met Biomet online last night. It was pretty successful. There was it'll be closing soon, so if you want to merch, we still have some. So reach out. And then elections are running late next week, so if you or anyone you know would be interested in joining the ZSC, it's a part of mine. I'm super happy with it.
Thank you very much. Just so everyone knows, we have 4 minutes until we have to extend council again. I think we should just extend council now. Cool. Can I see a motion to extend council for half an hour? I see it. Seconded. Can I see votes for the motion to extend council for half an hour starting now? Thank you very much. Can I see votes against the motion? Would you like that noted in the minutes?
I think we can do it.
7. Would you like me to rescind?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I see abstentions? Would you like
Oh, I can't go.
minutes? All right. We got half an hour. Thank you very much, Matt. We will now hear from mining, after which we will say shafts.
Mining?
Shafts.
So far, welcome to call Mining Rep. So the competition teams have it / are happening. One of them is kind of right now. So hopefully they do well. We'll see. I think some of them kind of have already. So banquet prep is happening and our mining awards. So people are voting for our mining awards, and the banquet is a little bit complicated because usually we're in Clark over a little big now, and Clark is having issues, so we're trying to figure that out. Not competition, but conferences or conventions. People went to PDAC, which was really fun. For Cup, our hockey game with Geo is happening next Friday. We usually win, so. And then a couple of us spoke to some grades 4 and 5s at one of the French elementary schools about mining, and the kids were really cute. They went really well. Yeah.
I'm going to find you later because I know people. Anyway, we're now going to hear from entrants, after which we will say nerds.
Nerds.
Izzy Kim, Engineering Physics President. Notes for us is we sent out midterm feedback forms. We got no feedback. We are doing a student merch design contest. So for like the 4 people here, if you want to draw something and go, I drew that. Look at that shirt. I made that. Submit something. We had a discussion 2 days ago surrounding CAB with the faculty. It actually went very well. And then we started nominations this past Monday for next year's team. And banquet tickets are going on sale March 10th. Like, mark your calendars, April 3rd at the Holiday Inn. We are currently running Department Assassin, so if you see people around looking like they're trying to channel like Island Girl spy vibes, they're probably playing Assassin. Like, please just like run at them. They'll be wearing Hawaiian shirts over their jackets, sunglasses, and soon sandals. And then we have a nuclear industry night coming up on March 12th.
Thank you so much, Enchvid. We will now hear from Tron, after which everyone shall do their best R2-D2 scream impression.
Tron! Alright, my council, pretty brief.
One personal beverage.
Alright, Paulo Silva, Tron Prez. So to keep it brief, we've been working on an academic feedback form we'll send out soon. We've been planning our banquet, March 21st. Buy your tickets, that'd be spectacular. And then we're mostly just working on the transition manuals for our execs so we can start working on elections for next year's team.
Amazing. Thanks, John. We're now going to move into the year report. So the way this works is a little bit different. I'm going to say we will now hear from Psi, whatever. If you're in that year, you say Psi 2, whatever. And if you're older than them, you can say Frosh. And if you're younger than that year, you can say old. So we're going to start with Psi 2 high five. Psi 2 5. Frosh.
There we go. Okay, Jacob Bloom, Psi 2 5 President. Okay, thank you, Gift. We are teaming up with Psi 2 4. We're putting an arcade in Clark, which is an arcade game in Clark, which is cool. So keep your eyes on that, that'll be sick. The yearbook, we're getting a yearbook done. Please submit due March 10th, which is coming up. Go to our Instagram. It'll be cool. I think it's the first time it's happening since Psi 2 3. And then, no shade on high school, sorry. And then just a lot of transition notes. I think those are like the big things going on right now.
Sure. Thanks so much, Sci 5. We will now hear from Sci 6 feet short of the town.
Sci-26.
James Hosmar, Sci-26 president. So 3 main things. Our merch is on the way. We're waiting for a track number, but it should be here next week. Other than that, been posting on Instagram, and elections are currently open. So if anyone in this room wants to be on Sci-26 Year Exec, definitely do it. Please run. And then moving forward, just going to be posting more on the Instagram. And once we do get our merch, we're going to be selling that. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Sure. Thanks so much, Sci 6. We will now hear from the best year, Sci 7 years to pick a name.
Sci-27. Hi everyone, Michael Lewam, Sci-27 president. Our only really big initiative right now is the Tiny Cups that is on the way. Our nominations for elections are open. The very kind janitor in the hall asked me to tell everyone to push in their chairs after we leave because it makes his job a lot easier, and he's really sweet about it, so please just push in your chair. That's it for me. Thank you.
So true. Okay, we will now hear from Sci 2 8, who doesn't have a name because they're so busy.
Sci-28.
Frosh!
Hi everyone, Jackson, Sci-28 Prez. We have merch ordered and it's on the way, so we'll probably do it around end of March, I think. We have an event set up with Commerce for March 27th from 7 to 9. We're going to have a football trivia night. So if anyone wants to show up, I think we're marketing it to first years, but if you want to come anyways, we'd love the support. So keep your eyes open for that.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sci 2 8. I will remind you all that we are not done council, so please do not start packing up and getting ready to go. We still have a statements and questions by member section. Do any members have statements or questions? Yes, go ahead, President.
Jack, Walker. I have 2 things. I'm going to go probably just hit both of them. Thing number 1 is kind of, I don't know, an addition to the faculty report, faculty board report. During this council, faculty board got the agenda for next faculty board, and included in that is a notice of motion. So at our last council, we talked a little bit about there being a discussion on faculty board that they were looking at introducing direct entry programs for civil mining, civil mining, chem, and chem and mining, civil. That's it. It's kind of 3.5. But they're looking at adding direct entry programs for these things, so they have put a notice of motion, so that means that not this faculty board coming up next week, but the following one on April 6th, I believe it is, will be having an actual vote on that discussion. Basically, the TLDR for why this is being discussed is that MEC and CompEng are both fairly over-enrolled, sort of administratively, and then the programs are adding direct entry programs for are relatively under-enrolled and tend to fluctuate year to year. So the thinking is that if these options are actually popping up on the Ontario University's portal when you're applying, students who are like particularly into chem or into civil will be more inclined to come to Queens than if they just have an offer for a general program. TBD on like how, you know what I mean? Like it's unclear how much that is going to work, but that's kind of the reasoning for this. At faculty board, the student representatives generally, I would say, were quite critical of this plan. I know I at least feel quite strongly that the general first year that we have at Queens is essential, and I don't love the idea of getting into something where we're going from almost everyone's in general first year with the exception of Tron to 75% of students, which is the figure that's been provided in this proposal, are in general first year, and the remaining 25 are split amongst different direct entry programs. I just think it's important for our community, and it's important for students to have that direct choice. So I think that I'm at least critical. So I would urge you, if you're in this room, if you're on a DSC, or you're just in a program and feel strongly about it, reach out to your program head, reach out to your undergraduate assistant, reach out to your profs. Faculty board consists of department heads for all the departments, and then the dean and assistant deans, and then various other faculty members who
Every faculty member.
Sorry?
Every faculty member has the right to be at faculty board.
There we go. Every faculty member has the right to be at faculty board and voting.
Yep.
And voting. So if you have concerns about this and you and you are worried about this, and I'm not telling you you have to be. If you think this is a good plan, that is absolutely fair game. I know I have concerns about it, and I know lots of people do. If you have those concerns, please reach out to your profs, reach out to your faculty members, reach out to your department heads, and chat with them, express why, express that. I mean, you guys are all student leaders here. You guys kind of all are here in some capacity representing some group of students, particularly if you're an elected member. So yeah, I would just encourage everyone to ensure that that student voice is heard in these ongoing discussions. I think it's important. Second thing I want to say on a little bit of a lighter note is I just want to give a huge shout out to our director team this year. AGM's a long meeting, and I feel like this is a fitting time to give a little shout out, but these guys work like 10, 15 hours a week for basically free pizza all year. And it's a lot of free pizza, don't get me wrong, but these guys are putting in a lot of hours and a lot of work and a lot of mental energy into their portfolios, and so I just want to say a huge shout out to the whole team. The work you guys do is not unappreciated, and would not have been possible to continue moving the society forward this year without you all. So yeah, just want to put that out there.
Thank you very much, President Walker. Next on my list is report, but
Lily Stock, Vice President of Operations. I forgot to mention this during my report, but Assistant Manager applications are currently open for the retail services, and all manager positions are open for the educational services. Yeah. So if you are interested in applying, please do, or if you know people who are interested in applying, please encourage them to do so. They'll be posting soon, so you can check the Instagram for the application.
perfect. Did I see it on my list? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Blake Conant, becoming Director of IT. So just so most of you know, email changeovers are happening soon-ish. So let everybody you know, your parents, your friends, anybody that might have an NSTOC account, check your emails around that date, because then I have to send you another request if you don't change your email. So please check your email. That would be great. Thank you.
Next on my list is Ben.
This is more of a
Virtual beverage.
I'm not. This is not a direct response, but sure. Ted Denver, EC President. Is this after? Is this on May 1st, or is this before May 1st?
On May 1st.
Okay, very important clarification.
Yeah.
And then another question for President Walker. You mentioned in your report that Purple Nights is decided by you and the executive. Is that true? Typically, it's just the president.
Direct Walker, President. Direct response. On paper, it's only the president who decides, which is a very just long-standing thing that has been the case. In recent years, I mean, I think the perspective of the president has been that just unilaterally deciding that is not a very good way to do the most prestigious award that we have in the society, and so usually the executive consulted on that, assuming that none of them are up for nomination, which this year won't be the case if none of us are directors.
All right, President Kim, you're next. Is you?
Yeah. This is Kim, Entrance Pres. I just have a question for Sci-25 President. I don't know if this is actually your wheelhouse, but like last year they had Clark Nights after Iron Ring, or like Clark Times after Iron Ring. Is that happening this year?
Not that I'm Jacob Bloom, Sci-25 President. Not that I know of. Yeah, we're gonna say.
Yeah, we're Thursday Sci-Fi Faculty Rep. We are not related. As far as I know, Clark is running some, I believe. Yeah, they are. Yeah, but we don't have anything.
It's not through us.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Next one is Senator Baylock.
Lucas Baylock, Engineering Center. Continuing off the discussion President Walker started about the discipline choices. I did have it kind of confirmed. I've been in conversations for weeks and they quoted a bunch of random numbers, but it looks like they finally narrowed in on one. For the class of 2023, we are going to be moving 300 seats. Nope. 2030. There we go. Thank you. Not next. How old are you? You're 28, not 29, 30. That one. 2 years. There we go. We're going to be moving 300 seats, aka first-year students, out of arts and into a faculty that makes more money, aka us, health sciences and business. We did it for, we're going to do it, we've already approved, yeah, we did it for Sci 2.8. We're going to kind of try to do it for Sci 2.9, but it's too late. But it's definitely going to come into effect for Sci 30. Not sure how many we're getting, could be 100, could be all 300. I haven't got anything confirmed on that side. But because of this direct entry program, that's where we're expecting most of the numbers to come from. So there is a possibility here where we don't necessarily lose some in our current programs, but definitely first year is going to be bigger, which is going to affect FC first year courses. I've been made aware that physics in Dunning Hall is not good, and that's been made clear to the dean and other faculty members. But just thought it was important information that I am now in a position to actually share because it's been confirmed on different sides.
Thank you very much, Senator. Next on my list is negative.
My name is CC Rep. Just to talk about the directive first. Yeah, like the comp one, they're doing it, and now that they're helping things have gone down drastically. We'll see how that goes. My opinion is that they're not great. So yeah, I just say what Jack Walker said. It's great to reach out to as many people as you can to voice your opinion. Otherwise, they won't know what your opinions are. And the other thing I want to mention is that there were 2 director reports that weren't submitted 48 hours before the governance meeting, and there's repercussions in bylaw that says they need to have been emailed by the director of governance. Because we're doing a transition period to test if we like this format of council, because we passed it in last council. Usually we would have director reports and have them speak, just so that everyone's aware for it's their first council. So I just was wondering if those repercussions happen because it is a transition period of everything in bylaw. Not in bylaw, but that's to be put in bylaw, yeah.
Chloe McCloskey, Director of Governance. Instead of an email, they received a strongly worded text of disappointment, which I effectively decided was the same thing. And some of them got an in-person stare with that open form of look at this empty spot. So I felt that that was effective. And that's how the reports are in. And they got in more than 24 hours ahead of time. Which I decided was adequate.
And the next thing I want to mention too is, which is going to be a topic of the next meeting, but I just want to bring up now is that whoever, well mostly Jack, because he's editing the bylaw, the repercussion that it says to go follow the bylaw, I can't remember the number anymore, but those repercussions, the second stage says for voting members, these are the repercussions, the directors aren't voting members, so there will be no repercussions, so we can't edit that by the bylaw. Just want to bring that.
We can make edits in second reading.
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Just so you
As
know,
long as
I'm
the
going to be bringing
spirit
that
of
up.
what it is remains
Yeah.
the same,
Yeah.
otherwise you need to do the first reading again.
Yeah, and that's all for me.
Amazing. Next on my list, and I believe last, is President Walker.
Yes. Jack Walker, President. Just as an add-on to the discussion about program sizes, I got confirmation from Student Services in the Faculty of Engineering that the intended size of the class of 2029 is 950 admitted students, which will probably mean that we get about 1,000 actual admitted students based on how the last few years have gone. So it's slightly smaller than last year, but not significantly smaller than last year, and still the second biggest year we've seen.
Go ahead.
Just back, please push your chairs. The janitor was very kind, and I have so much sympathy for him.
Is there any final statements or questions? I see Chloe.
Chloe McCloskey, Director of Governance. So like I said that council was going to be right under 4 hours, and I just want to say we're like right under 4 hours, so I know my shit. I know my stuff. I'm picking up the $10 gift card for Best Dress. There are way less bananas than I was expecting. Disappointment. Anyway, if you're wearing yellow, stand up. Thank you.
Only one person out.
Banana. Maybe it was the minute.
Okay, quick, what's up?
That's Mr. President.
Order, please.
I just want everyone to acknowledge our current Director of Governance and Speaker and everyone who put work into AGM. having seen it from the back end last year, it's a lot of work. And so we've also an art manager on site formal right now. So she is working her butt off in every facet of the engineering society. So I just want to make sure everyone recognizes all the work they put in to make the night.